All right, everyone, welcome to our Senate meeting for today. My name is David Muñoz-Sarabia, and I am your Speaker of the Senate. I welcome everyone to the Senate chamber. Of course, if you're tuning in via Teams, if you need closed captioning, please press those three dots in the top right-hand corner. Speakers in the audience, let's make sure that we speak clearly, slowly, and directly into the mic for more accurate captioning. All right, today is September 29th, 2021, and I call this meeting to order at 5:32 p.m. I did change it up again this fall. All right, we saw with roll call. Secretary Velasco, take it away.
Senator Shiloh, President. Senator Velasco, President. Senator Brown.
Present.
Senator McAdams. Senator McDowall.
Present.
Senator Lee, here. Senator Banerjee. Present. Senator Castellanos.
Present.
Senator Guevara. Present. Senator Johnson.
Here.
Senator Mosley.
He's on Teams virtually.
Senator Sanchez Martinez, here. Senator Guevara. Senator Morris. Senator M.
Here.
Senator Cowell, here. Senator Schulte, here. And Senator Kwee-Bintoro.
Present.
Okay, we have 15 senators present, so quorum is met.
All right, thank you, Secretary Velasco. Today's agenda, we have guest speakers today. We have Rex Sports, and of course, we have our COVID-19 update from Dr. With. We have a written motion for executive reports, approval of minutes for new business, going over some Senate Standing Committee business. Of course, we're going to announce our chairs and vice chairs, go over committee reports and minutes, and of course, do appointment for those as well. Something that we're doing new starting this week is college reports. So we're excited to see what our senators have been up to. We have a Senate appointment, announcements, and adjournment. So at this time, I will move the floor to our guest speakers. Guest speakers that come to the front, use that mic up there. And everyone, welcome. Rex Sports, we have Assistant Director Ben, Associate Director for Membership and Fitness, Wendy, and Trainer for Intramural Sports, Cameron.
Thank you. I'm not used to being tied down to a mic, so I apologize. Usually I'm a wanderer. My name is Ben Venetian. I'm the Assistant Director for Marketing and Communications. I'm joined by Wendy Comfort, the Associate Director for Memberships and Fitness, and of course Cameron Milam, the Coordinator for Intramural Sports. Thank you for having us today. We don't want to take up too much of your time, so we will try and be very succinct. We are here basically, as we've always visited SGA every year. This is the first time in a long time that we've been back. So it used to be a conversation about all of the things that we have going on. And this time it's going to be more about why we have all of the things that we have going on. Because since the pandemic and COVID and then the quarantine and then the return, we basically have 3 classes of students who have not been able to truly visit and experience the rec center like we're used to. And so we want to really kind of get the word out and let folks know why we're here and the importance of being here. So thank you again for your time. I'm going to turn it over to Wendy and we'll go from there.
All right, like Ben said, thank you for having us. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about why we're here and then a little bit about what we have to offer as well. But, why are we on campus? We're a place for students to have an outlet for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's stress relief, maybe it's just keeping themselves healthy. But like Ben said, we have several groups of students who haven't been able to experience what we have to offer. And when you're in college, it's the perfect time to create habits that you will use long term. So a lot of times when students come to the university, this is the first time they've been on their own. For some, it's not, but for those of us who it was their first time, for me, it was the first time I've been on my own. I was separated from my parents. And it was the first time that I had the opportunity to create the habits that I wanted to have for the rest of my life. So from a physical activity standpoint, from a nutrition standpoint, thinking about those things, all of those outlets are here on campus available to students right at your fingertips. Most likely you're already paying the rec center fee in your tuition and fees. And so why not use it? Why not create those habits that you would have for a long term? So maybe it's using the rec center 1 time per week. Maybe it's using it 5 times per week. Maybe it's participating in intramural sports. Maybe it's a group exercise class. Maybe it's working out on your own or walking on the track. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It's that you are involved. It's also a great place for you to meet other people, for you to create those relationships that you might have for long term. I started working at the rec center at the university that I was at in undergrad. Then I went to graduate school and I worked at the rec center. And now, long term, I'm working at the rec center. So whether it's a job, some of my best friends that I still have are friends that I made when I worked at the rec center or worked out at the rec center as an undergrad and as a graduate student. And so it's a great opportunity for students to be involved. And again, we have lots of ways to do that, whether it's student employment or whether it's being a participant in one of our many programs that we have to offer.
In addition to a lot of those programs, like Wendy was talking about, one of those avenues is intramural sports. So the reason I kind of talk about the why with intramural sports is a lot of us as students participated in those sports, various sports in high school at various levels, JV, varsity, club teams, that type of stuff. And so intramural sports is a great avenue to continue playing and participating in various sporting events, or maybe not traditional sporting events, but single day events or esports events as well. As we all kind of seen from the past couple of years, esports has taken off not only on the UNT campus, but across the nation. And so we try to stay on those trends as well. We are currently offering like 10 esports a semester, from single player events to 2-on-2 tournaments to big team tournaments. So there's kind of an avenue for everybody involved and to stay involved, as well as our traditional football, basketball, soccer, that type of stuff as well. So the biggest thing to kind of get involved is to not only get onto the website, like IM Leagues for intramurals, or downloading our Fusion app for rec sports and getting to see all the different schedules and everything on there. But finding that so that you get that information pushed out to you, whether it pertains to you or not, it gives you that avenue to get something coming across your feed or a notification on your phone. So yeah, rec sports.
I will add one thing about the website or the app. If you download the app and you go into your settings, you log in with your UNT credentials, you go into your settings, you are able to set up notifications for the things that you're interested in. So if you care about the group exercise schedule and you're involved with the group exercise schedule, but you're not very interested in intramural sports or outdoor pursuits, you can turn on and off those notifications so that you're only going to receive that information for the things that you're most interested in. You can turn it all on if that's what interests you, but the website and the app are also going to be the place where you can find all of the things that we have to offer as well. Instead of us, standing here and giving you a laundry list of all of our programs and you probably not remembering them anyway, those are going to be where we are driving everyone to stay the most up to date. You can register for programs, you can check in hours. There's all kinds of things available. Basically, anything that you would need to know rec sports, you can find it on the app or on the website as well. So does anybody have any questions for any of the three of us before we head out for the day?
All right, let's start with Senator Schulte.
Hi, nice to meet you all. My name's Gracie Higgins. I really don't know if this is like an applicable question, but I know I read that like goals for the site, less than 2019 people, but I personally, enjoy working out for health and just for hobby reasons, I guess. But I've been noticing that when I go to the rec center, I feel like it's very crowded, which we do have a high population of kids on campus. But I mean, is there anything that we could do about that? I know, like, expansion. That's again, like, I'm not sure if this question is completely applicable at this time, but I mean, what is there anything to do about that?
I don't know if I know all the details. You may want to get more information than I can get.
I'm happy to. So our plan, almost about 20 years old, almost about to pay off the debt for that particular building. And I think if you'll remember the first time I was here, I talked about SGA being the reason we have a rec center. So we're about to embark upon master planning for the rec center. What's the next step? What do students want to see? And what will that mean to the institution? And how much will it cost? And so I think there's lots of things that we're looking at. Rec sports has changed dramatically over the years. Just the invention of, or the esports. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know enough about it to even talk about it. So I'm very dangerous. But having esports as part of rec sports is a very new addition to us. And how can we help that program to thrive and grow? What kind of fields do we need? What complexes do we need? All of that. So we'll look at that in the upcoming year. We're looking at identifying a group to come on campus that'll work with us to help walk through the process. We certainly will have students involved in that process, likely a representative from this group and from GSC to help participate. And then we'll create a master plan of if we could do anything, this is what we would do. Then we start looking at how do we fund it? What's reasonable, what's feasible, and put a timeline to any of the additions, changes, expansions, reductions, whatever that looks like for the future. Just because the building, the note will be paid off, the bond will be paid off, it's usually the time that things start failing in buildings. And so usually it's like, ooh, it's all paid off. So just like a car, when you pay off your car, it's usually when your transmission goes out, you need new tires, all those kinds of things. So everything that went to a car payment starts going into the maintenance of the building. So some of that will be happening too, but how can we maximize what the difference between that and helping to expand and meet the future needs of our students? It's a great question. I'm glad you asked it, and looking forward to really what students will come up with in helping us to think about what the future of rec sports is on our campus. Thank you.
Any more questions? And we have a couple hands raised. We still have questions. Senator Lee.
Hello. So I've actually been in contact with, I believe it's Billy Matthews a little bit. And just first apologize, I haven't got to reply to these emails. I know we were kind of talking about like the rules with intramurals. And I just realized now something I forgot to mention. I'm wondering if Cam can kind of give us some insight into some of the stuff with like the gender roles and the quotas. None of it really applies to the esports. So I wonder if you kind of give an insight as to why that is, like why esports kind of, I understand, you know, like fundamentally esports functions very differently from more like physical sports, but just if you could give me some insight as to that.
Yes. It's always different heights for different people. Yeah, so Billy is currently working not only in conjunction with your email that was sent, but also just with us updating everything with our first year back with intramurals in almost a year and a half to look at all of our rule sets, talk with any of the necessary parties on campus involved to figure out the best avenue for us to update those so that they are inclusive to all of our populations on campus. The direct reason why that doesn't necessarily apply to esports is just the definition between an open league and a co-rec league and how it is defined not only in the system that we use with IM leagues, but also just how it adapts to the rules. In esports, we just define as an open league, which is open to any person or individual, and our traditional co-rec leagues are just the rules are written a different way. But that's also where, like I said, we're working with all the necessary parties on campus involved to figure out the best way to update those so that they are as inclusive as possible for everybody on campus.
Thank you. That does answer my question.
All right, Senator Sanchez Martinez.
Hi there. Oh my god. Okay, hi. So my name is Jackie. I love going to the rec center. Super fun, super cool. I did have one question. So because I know someone mentioned this earlier, and it was about a population of students who doesn't necessarily use the rec center. I feel like it is a very important facility because everyone is paying for it. So how do you guys think, what's the best way for, I guess what's the best way to reach out to those students who don't necessarily, they didn't play sports in high school. They don't go to the gym, you know what I'm saying? What's the best way to reach out to that kind of people?
All right, great question, thank you.
It's so hard.
So the best, I think you're spot on. You know, we've talked about multiple classes having not experienced it, but there are a lot of people who don't use it anyway. And we're somewhere around 40 in the 40 percentile of folks that are using it, depending on each year. And what we found though is that, and speaking to the how do we get them, right? How do we express the importance of it? There are a few things that we know to be true, and we've tracked this since we opened our doors. GPA for users versus non-users is something we've always looked at, and it has always been higher every single year since 2005 when we opened for each classification. So users that are freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors have higher GPAs than non-users. Now, that's not directly and solely because rec sports, but what it does speak to is the worth and value of us on campus, and that is eliminating or reducing stress, providing opportunities for community, right, and interactions with people, passions and skills learned, and certainly exercise and staying healthy, right? All of that leads back to your schoolwork. A happier, healthier you is a more productive you in everything, relationships, work, and school. And so that's really an important thing. The other, I'd say, is that it is a place for community. It is a gathering place. And Cameron spoke a little bit about, and we've heard it as well, esports, right? A brand new thing. When we were tasked with it, we said, we don't even know what this is. And now we have a fantastic program, and we are learning more and more just how important it is. And so what was traditionally just flag football and soccer and fitness is now grown and grown and grown over the years to esports, to single day events that intramurals will host, including Battleship, which you should see in spring, where we take 4 people and put them in 2-person canoes in the pool, and last canoe standing wins, right? So there's no real sport in that. It's just a way to participate and gather together. And third, I'd say that, and this kind of goes along to the university's goal of preparing college students for, right, the next step. We have over 250 student staff members that we work with. And so there are a lot of positions in everything that we do across the board, whether that be fitness and group exercise instructors, personal trainers, intramural officials, marketing and design, social media folks on my side, to our outdoor staff and our aquatic staff and lifeguards. So they're really, it's a fantastic place to work on campus and get that experience while having, full-time professionals mentor them and kind of help guide. So it is through sports that we hope to bring folks together, but not solely. There are a lot of things in there that aren't sport related, from work to intramural Battleship to whatever else comes about. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I do have another question. My question, I don't know, so this is something that I'm a sophomore, and I know that last semester, a lot of what I heard, or what a lot of my friends would say is I wish we had a girl hour at the gym, because I know me speaking, going sometimes it is kind of uncomfortable, you know what I'm saying, just because depending on the hour, it is a male dominated type, just to work out, I guess. Have you guys heard anything, or has there been a conversation behind maybe introducing something like that?
So your question is actually super valid, and we get this even outside of this last year, this is something that I worked in fitness here for a long time, but in fitness just in general for several years. And it's something that we get questions about all the time, whether it's a female designated time, a male designated time. And so one of the things that we've done over the different semesters is offering some different times of day or different programming options that are more inclusive to maybe individuals who are not as comfortable in the space, where we're teaching them a little bit more about the equipment that we might have or what programs that we have that might fit their needs as an individual and not necessarily as a specific, group of people. But, we are looking at programming for the spring semester in addition to some things that we're doing this semester, but for some different specific requests that we've gotten over the course of the year. So we will be looking at adding some additional programming. I don't know that it will be, a specific hour for females in a specific area, but keep an eye out for what we have coming in the spring semester, because like with our intramurals, we're working on updating some policies. We are looking at adding some additional programming moving forward to the spring semester as well. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Senator Johnson.
So obviously, and this could also, Dr. Wood could probably also answer this, with the abundance of the increasing numbers of students, the increasing number of, I'm sure as we grow in numbers, we all are seeing more and more people come to the rec center. And in times of the coronavirus evolving and just being around in real pain, but are y'all taking as best steps as possible to make sure all the equipment's being cleaned, all the rooms are being cleaned as best possible?
Yes, we have not changed. Since we reopened back in July of 2020, we are still keeping the same cleaning protocols that we had in place then. Prior to COVID, we had some pretty extensive cleaning protocols in place even before the pandemic hit. We spend a lot of time making sure that our equipment is clean and all of that. But since we reopened, we have changed the way that we clean and the way that we ask our participants to clean, with going away from having towels around the facility that get used on multiple pieces of equipment by multiple people. Now we have individual use towels. So we recommend that someone grab their Simple Green, you get one towel, you clean the piece of equipment you're on, you dispose of that towel, and then you get another one. So it increases the amount of laundry that we do, but it also decreases the spread of germs from one piece of equipment to the other and from one person to the other as much as we can. We do have staff that are scheduled to work in the weight room. We have staff that are cleaning equipment specifically throughout the day. They're doing touch points at every single shift and then deep cleaning every single day for all pieces of equipment in the facility. We also have, from just a general facility standpoint, we have staff that are going through, wiping down handrails and, doing some extra cleaning in the locker room. We have a custodial staff that are still doing all of those things, and we plan to continue those things as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Any more questions? All righty, well, everyone give them a round of applause. Thank you so much for stopping by, taking time out of your day. Again, y'all, it's recsports.unt.edu. All right, let's go on to the next item on the agenda. And we have Dr. Witt providing another COVID update. Dr. Witt, take it away.
Hi, y'all. How are you doing? Good. Good to see you again. So I'm going to start with the official notice that was distributed yesterday and hope that all of you have seen it. But we have officially wrapped the program, the mandatory testing program, up. It's finished, complete. The numbers are really good. We had 38,275 of our 46,000 plus community members participate in the mandatory testing program. Whether that was uploading a vaccine record, whether it was actually testing or uploading a positive test from within the last 90 days. That participation rate is amazing. 90% of our employees participated, 81% of our students participated. And so if you want to do the math, we had about 427 employees that did not, and about 7,988 students that did not participate. So still that number is higher than we want it to be, over 8,000. What we've decided to do based upon that, remember when we talked in the beginning, our whole intention was about getting data and letting that data drive the decisions that we make. Knowing that about 73%, I don't know why, 73% of our employees are vaccinated, over 50% of our students, 54% of our students are vaccinated, and that's at least. And we know that because of the number of vaccine records that were uploaded. And we extrapolate that to the overall student population, the overall employee population. Knowing we have that many folks that are vaccinated across campus, knowing that our positivity rate for testing was very low, still sitting at about 4.1%, when overall in the state of Texas, it's sitting at 13%. Our data is really good. Our numbers compared to other institutions is really good. We're able to manage the cases that are on campus, and that number still continues to decrease every single week. Based upon all of that and the success of that program, we are no longer going to do a mandatory testing program. So that part is over. We did say that we were going to let folks know that if they weren't compliant, we were sending them a note that they were non-compliant. And those letters are going, those emails are going to students and to employees. But remember, the first time there was no consequences. So there's no consequences to anybody, not to employees, not to students. So even those that are getting a non-compliant letter, it says just that. We note that you were not compliant in the mandatory testing program. That's done. You can put a period at the end of the sentence and we're going to move on. So the next step starting Monday is a voluntary program. We're going to randomly select 2,000 community members, 90% of our population students, 10% employees, so we will do the same thing. 1,800 students and 200 employees will be identified each week, well, every 2 weeks, on Monday, send an email, ask to participate in our testing program. We're going to encourage them to do it on campus. That's the easiest way to do it, but they can still do it off campus if they like and upload their test results. If they have tested positive, we'll work through those issues. Tested positive in the last 90 days, we'll still work through those issues. We're asking that both vaccinated and unvaccinated folks test. We've talked about this. In fact, there were some questions about it from the beginning. We know that vaccinated folks can still spread the virus, not near as much as those who are unvaccinated, but our whole intention is to determine how much of the virus we have on our campus, isolate it, and get it off. That's why we're going with the random sample testing. We'll have 5 intervals that will happen throughout the rest of the semester. We will finish at graduation. The last 2-week period will end at graduation this semester. And we'll make a decision based upon what happens over these next 10 weeks, what we're going to do for the spring semester. But our whole intention is to continue to analyze the data. We feel like we've created a culture on our campus where people are going to test, and so we ask that you continue to do that. If you're identified and you receive that email, I'm going to encourage you all to be tested. Please do so. If you are somebody who wants to get tested more often, by all means, continue to do that. And I think there's a group of people that have done that and will continue to do that. But our whole intention is to be able to utilize the data to drive decision making, and that's what we're going to continue to do. If you looked at the numbers last Friday on the website, we were sitting at 109. I think I said our positivity rate was sitting at about 4.1%. When you look at our comparators, I forgot to look them up Friday night, so I don't have the exact comparisons, but it's still good news. I didn't look at them until the weekend, Sunday, and numbers are dropping for all the institutions every single day. So it'll make you feel better. It makes me feel better because remember, I'm very competitive. Our number 109 from Friday compares still very well. We're still much lower than everybody else, but theirs would have been higher on Friday than what I'm reading to you now. Texas State's was sitting at 192. Not that I want them to have positive cases, by the way. I'm not wishing ill on anybody. It's just my competitive spirit, thinking numbers only. But over the weekend, Texas State's number was 192. Texas Tech was at 125. A&M was sitting at 300, and the University of Houston 156. So when you look at our number of 109, we're still faring well to those people with whom we're comparing ourselves. So we're moving forward. Committees will still continue to meet. I'm happy to come provide updates weekly if y'all want them. I think the off weeks are going to be harder for me to have really any data. I can give you an update on the number of cases we have, but I'm not going to have necessarily testing data for you except for every other week. I'll leave it to you guys to make that decision. I'm happy to come every week, but we can back off if you want to as well. I will still leave that to you. But I think that's all I have to say, at least as far as what I know, and I'm happy to respond to any questions.
All right, Senator Johnson, go ahead.
So will contact tracing and the curative test being related and contact tracing made to the students who have contracted COVID?
Yes.
And that's all still going to be.
Everything else is still in place, yes. It's just not mandatory testing, it's voluntary testing for a smaller group.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sure.
Senator Kwee-Bintoro.
Thank you. I'm going to preface this by saying, like, during the summer when I was here, I try to make an effort to get tested regularly, but I'll be the first to admit that sometimes I just feel lazy, and so I didn't get tested. My understanding is that if I'm one of the 1,800 students who is like 200 faculty members, 1,800 students. Who,
7,000, 8,000, 7,988 if you want to be exact, that did not comply? Is that what you're talking
I'm
about?
talking about the 2,000 randomly selected individuals.
Oh, sorry, yes,
It's all right.
yes.
So if I'm one of those 1,800 students, given that this is voluntary, what motivation would I have to complete the test if I haven't been already doing it?
Well, our hope is that people feel a responsibility to the community. And I feel like that's where we are and what the numbers tell us. The fact that we had so many people that participated in the mandatory testing, we believe that hopefully we've created a culture. And so I'm going to continue to appeal to all of you, and I hope that you will appeal to those folks around you and that you feel some responsibility to your campus community, that if you're identified, that you test. And I'll encourage anybody to test anytime they want to, but our hope is that the community will still feel responsible for the overall well-being and safety of our community to move forward.
All right. Senator Velasco.
So, like I said, cases have been going down, but in no means is the pandemic over. So in the Denton County alone, 432 cases, 6 deaths, Fort Worth, 403 cases and 11 deaths. So while the numbers are going down, it's still not over, if that makes sense. So why is the university easing up on policies in a time where, you know, we should be combating the situation and not just getting by?
So we're going to continue to analyze the data, and if you read the official notice, we'll look at the data. If we're not getting people participating like we think that we should, we'll move back to a mandatory program if we have to. Our hope is that we don't have to do that the campus community cares about the safety and security of the campus community, and that they will respond appropriately. And so I'm hopeful that that's where we end up and that we don't have to do mandatory testing again, but all numbers around the state are moving down. Hospitalizations are going down, deaths are going down, number of positive cases is going down everywhere. If you look at UT Southwestern saying and projecting now that, and this makes me nervous to say things like this, but they're saying come January, the country, the state, our area specifically will be in the best position it's been since the pandemic began almost 2 years before. That's a nice light at the end of the tunnel. And I agree with you, we are not finished. And so I implore all of you to continue to be responsible, continue to test, and if you're sick, stay home, monitor your symptoms, do all the things that you've been doing so that we can continue to be fully open and have the experience that we want to have.
Okay. Follow-up question. So I feel like we have all seen this before. A few months ago, the CDC said that vaccinated people, you know, no longer had to require masks, or no longer wore masks. University didn't require them, you know, things were getting great, and then a few months later, back again. So that is my worry with something like this. As we're easing up on policies again, and we're just going to be right back where we started. If that situation were to occur, can you explain kind of how the university would take action?
We're going to continue to monitor. If we need to move towards mandatory testing, we will do that. And we will take any action that we need to based upon the circumstances around. The Delta variant caught everyone by surprise. I can even knock on wood a lot. Maybe it's just my head. There's nothing that we can see that physicians, epidemiologists, CDC, FDA, anybody has seen that leads us to believe that there's another variant that's not responding to the vaccines. And so if something comes up, we certainly will continue to monitor. We are not stopping anything that we're doing as far as contact tracing. We'll continue to provide tests. We're going to continue to provide vaccines on campus. We will have booster shots available in the coming weeks for those that are eligible for the booster shots. All of that will continue. Committees will continue to meet. So when I say that the mandatory testing program is over, that part is, but it doesn't mean that we're letting down our guard. I want people to continue to wear masks. We've got the mask incentive program. Hopefully you guys are wearing them, and hopefully some of you or some people that you know have received some cool t-shirts because of that. So we're gonna do all of these things to help encourage people to do the right thing. Sure.
Senator McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Do you think that volunteering testing will skew positivity rates lower because people who volunteer and feel that responsibility that you were talking about are more likely to take COVID precautions and therefore less likely to contract COVID?
Not necessarily, because we know that people can be asymptomatic, can have been with the Delta variant more than others. So no, that's not what we believe to be the case. But if it is the case, we'll see our cases increase, and we will take, we'll make decisions accordingly. But we'll continue to monitor the number of positive cases that we have on our campus. And if things change, then we will look at how we can best respond to that.
So you don't think the data could be skewed because of the volunteer process?
Data can always be skewed, but it's a random sample. So like any bell curve, it should give us in general terms what's happening across campus. And so we will continue to utilize the results of that data.
Just for the record, it is a normal bell curve, but it's an elective statistic.
Yes,
So
it
that
is.
introduces skews to the data.
If the numbers increase, if people test, if people don't test, if we aren't having anybody test, then that's certainly something we will look at and make determinations on next steps.
Thank you, Doctor.
Sure.
All right, let's do the intern in the corner. Go ahead.
Both. I've heard many complaints, and I am also of the opinion of agreeing that the contact tracing team is very inefficient. It's very slow, and it has not been a great experience for many students that I have talked with, including myself. Do you know why that is?
If you can give me specifics, and I don't want you to do that here, but I'm happy for us to talk. Either you can send me an email or we can talk by phone tomorrow. I would love to hear the concerns that you have, but I'm going to need to hear specifics. Based on everything that I know, the contact tracing team meets daily. We review the cases daily. I participate in those meetings, and they're able to respond to all of the emails and all of the referrals that come their way. We've had anywhere between 12 and 25 reports of positive cases each day over the last couple of weeks. The load is not heavy, and it's something that they are able to be able to maintain. So I would love to hear what the specific concerns are, and let me see if I can address them. It'll help me to know.
Go ahead.
How big is the contact tracing team?
I have to go look, because I know that we've had somebody, at least one or two, that have moved on to other jobs, but I think there's at least 5 full-time folks that are working on it. But I could be wrong about that. But we still have some other folks across campus that have been doing it, have other full-time jobs that are still volunteering their time. I say volunteering their time. Some of their 40 hours is spent doing it because they've done it so long and they're skilled at it, and they're able to assist the team, the full-time team.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Johnson.
Kind of going back a little bit to this volunteer testing, correct? Is it and this, I could just be getting confused here. The university is relying basically on people's good nature and sense of decency to then go get tested for the betterment of their neighbors?
Well, you can call it good nature or decency.
Yeah.
I call it responsibility to the community.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we are, but we've seen it, and I've seen it over time. And I will continue to encourage you, implore you to be tested.
Thank you.
Sure.
Senator Kwee-Bintoro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just like to ask you a question about vaccinations. I have the president's notice pulled up here and it says that 54% of the student body is vaccinated. And as I understand it, I think it's the CDC that says we need 75% vaccination rates to have herd immunity. So correct me on that, that'd be great. But my question is the university taking any new steps to encourage students to get vaccinated, or are we just gonna follow the same steps of, hey, we have vaccines, y'all should come get them?
Well, we're going to continue to encourage people to be vaccinated and have, but if you look at the data across the country, vaccinations have stalled, completely stalled. And many are making the assumption that those that are going to be vaccinated have already decided to become vaccinated. There are going to be very few in the future that will. We are continue, and we still have folks that are getting vaccinated every single day. The last I heard from the health center, somewhere between 10 and 15 people that are getting their first dose every single day through the health center. And so we'll continue to do that, continue to make them available, continue to market that we have them, and then introducing the booster as we can. Everything that I've read, and remember, I'm not a doctor, I'm a doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor. And I'm not an epidemiologist, but everything that I've read is that we are past the point of being able to achieve herd immunity. That will not happen. So this pandemic will become an endemic, which means it will be with us over time. And so we will figure out ways to determine how we're going to respond to that. In some ways, the flu is an endemic. It's always with us. We've got flu shots that people get annually. I don't know what the response is going to be and what the wise and smart people that are physicians and epidemiologists are going to decide what the future looks like for us. But we're past the point of herd immunity. We are looking at the coronavirus, COVID-19, being with us over time. Sure.
All right. Senator Sanchez Martinez, go ahead.
Okay, just one super quick last question. Regarding, you said the 1,800 students that are going to be randomly selected. So are those students just going to be like straight random, or going to be looking into fulfilling like a specific quota? So to where it's like certain from this racial group or from this identity, or is it just going to be straight?
Straight random from a computer program, literally hitting a button, pulling 1,800 and moving on. What I didn't say is that we will not, we will guarantee that people won't be randomly selected more than one time during the semester. So if you're selected once in the semester, your name will be removed from the group. So it won't be randomly selected again this semester.
Okay, and has UNT done anything, or I don't know, like in terms of measuring who's been affected? Has there been any measurement of like certain groups being, maybe more vulnerable or more affected? I don't know if that's like something that UNT is.
I don't have any of that data because I can see the raw numbers, but most of the data is HIPAA protected. And so I can't see the information that whether I have 100 people, how many of those are by classification, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. I don't know that. I do know if somebody's a resident because obviously that impacts the community, but I don't know what race somebody is. I don't know what gender somebody is. So we don't have that data. We're not collecting that data or analyzing that data.
Okay, thank you.
And go ahead. Yeah.
So the CDC is showing data and going towards booster shots for vaccinations. What steps is UNT taking to help support booster shots? Are they going to get more vaccines, or are they going to hold events or anything like that?
So the CDC has approved Pfizer booster shots. And so as I was saying earlier, we've ordered 300 doses of the Pfizer vaccine to be able to utilize for booster shots. Somebody has to have had Pfizer vaccinations, the 2 doses, at least 6 months ago, and then be part of the categories that are eligible, over 65, immunocompromised in some way, and they've got the list of those that are immunocompromised. It's all on the CDC website. If you want to see it, it's on our website too. We link to it to be eligible to receive the booster. But we placed our order yesterday for 300 doses for boosters. So we're prepared to do them as soon as they come in.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, thank you, Anna. Any more questions? Senator Banerjee?
Okay, so to kind of build on Senator McDowell's question. I'm presuming that the results or general conclusions from the university-wide biweekly rank selection will be published in some way.
The numbers will be just like they always have been.
So for those numbers, do you know whether it'll be made clear that they're being drawn from a voluntary sample initiative? Like in terms of people having to volunteer to test, if they're being extrapolated to the general UNT population?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
So when the numbers are published, do you know whether it will be made clear via, I don't know, an asterisk or just in general that the numbers being extrapolated are from people who volunteer to take the test instead of the mandatory testing that's previously had?
So when we were looking at the mandatory testing, everybody coming through was part of it regardless. So we weren't looking to see who we asked to test and who was just testing on their own. I don't anticipate that we're gonna differentiate between those because once again, that's personally identifiable information that we would have to be looking at coming through as opposed to just making sure that we're counting noses, counting all noses. And so we'll report the data, we'll report the number of tests that are done. But I won't be able to say that we have 1,000 students, I won't be able to tell you those 1,000 students. I don't believe that I will. I don't want to lie to you, but I don't believe I'll be able to tell you that 750 of those were ones that we asked to test and 250 were ones that tested on their own. Is that what you're trying to get to?
Kind of. I mean, isn't the initiative now going to be on a voluntary basis anyway, like as a whole?
It is, but we're going to send an email to 1,800 students saying, hey, we've identified you and we want you to test.
Right.
Right.
So will that be included when the results are published? Like, will it?
All of them will be together. So if I got an email that asked me to test and you just tested because you wanted to, the number's going to be 2. I'm not going to be able to tell you that one got an email and one just did it on their own. I don't believe I'm going to be able to differentiate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
All right, any other questions? No, Dr. Witt, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. And if y'all want to discuss how often you want me back, then let me know. I'll keep it on my calendar until you tell me not to.
All
Okay.
right, we'll definitely do that.
Thanks, guys.
All righty, let's continue the next item on the agenda. All right, so we have, yes,
I make a motion.
you may, yes.
I motion that we have Dr. Witt appear.
I'm gonna stop you, make sure that we're saying I move
Okay.
before we're doing any motions.
I move to make a motion that we have Dr. Witt appear at the beginning of every month instead of every week, and that he can appear, we request her to appear at every meeting.
All right, is there a second?
I there's second my thing is
So just to be clear, that you moved that you want Dr. Witt to provide COVID-19 updates to the Senate the first Monday or the first Wednesday of each month. Is that correct?
Correct, and whenever we decide we need to request it for next meeting.
All righty. Is someone opposed to that motion?
I oppose.
All right. The floor is open for any motions, or we can go straight to a vote. Senator McDowell?
I move to amend the motion to include the third Wednesday of every month.
Is there a second?
Senator Lee seconds. And point of information, the difference would be that she wouldn't come next week because next week would be the first. Instead of giving us several. Or that's my understanding.
Okay.
The motion would be the first and third of every month.
Oh.
Yes.
Can I retract my second then, because I misunderstood?
You can.
Senator Brown seconds.
Okay. Okay, guys, all right, y'all, make sure that we're raising our hands to get recognized. I can't have this happening every Senate meeting. Thank you. Senator Cowell.
Quick question before I say my thing. Senator Johnson objected. Does that mean the motion is no longer to be considered?
We can discuss it. We can go to a vote on that amendment because currently he objected to adding the clause of first and the third Wednesday of each month.
Okay.
The floor is open for any motions. We can have a discussion. Someone can make that motion. Senator Brown.
Senator Brown moves to a period of discussion.
Is there a second?
Senator Stein was the
All right, since you made the motion, you have the first point.
Point of information, hold on, okay, before we move forward. Luke presented his motion, who seconded that motion? Jackie, okay. And so then, Andy objected and presented his, amendment, who seconded that amendment?
Senator Brown.
And then,
Okay.
sorry, guys, you guys just crazy fast. Okay, so after objection, who moved to question, discussion? You moved and then who seconded? Got it. Got it, I'm not caught up, I'm so sorry.
So let's make sure we're saying Senator so-and-so seconded just to help Maria out. But now we're in a period of discussion. And I believe Senator Brown has the first discussion point.
We know, my understanding is that the mandatory test, the volunteer testing notice is supposed to go out Monday next week, which would be when she would come visit us. Should we not move it to the 2nd and 4th? That way it has the week for people to get tested, a week and a half to get tested.
So a suggestion
That way
that
we have results from the testing.
the suggestion I would provide to the Senate is, because overall we're being specific about which Wednesday Dr. With is coming, I recommend to the Senate that y'all make a motion regarding at your request. So it can be at any time that y'all make a vote, y'all can determine when Dr. With comes. Y'all can do that during any Senate meeting, I can let her know. Just so it avoids any specific times, especially if it's the first, is it the third? Just letting you know, we are now approaching October. So that would mean you would only have, if it's only the first Wednesday of each month, that's only two times she will come. But that's my suggestion to the Senate. Senator Cowell, you have the second discussion point.
Why can't we just have her come bi-weekly? Starting not next week, but the week after, so that we have time for the voluntary testing program. We can hear from Dr. Wood about how that went, not next Wednesday, but the one after. And then we just see her every other Wednesday until the semester is over.
Senator Johnson, you have the third discussion point.
I would argue that it is kind of reductive. I think that's the word. Because redundant, thank you. To have her keep coming back when we're kind of seeing that the university's trying to take a step back, but still handling it. I would suggest that we have her come speak to us once a month. And then if we need her to come back to talk to us, then we invite her. So that it's on the books. And then she just comes back when we need her.
Okay, I'm gonna move back to Senator Cowell, then Senator Lee, Senator Mosley, then Senator Kwee-Bintoro. Go ahead, Senator Cowell.
As I think Maria said earlier, we are still very much in the pandemic, and nobody saw the Delta variant coming, and I am not super optimistic about things getting better quickly. I would rather her come back bi-weekly with updates, just as a precaution. I understand it's taking time out of all of our days, but this is something important. I think we all need to be, as a body, aware of this, as it affects our campus and our constituents. And if we feel differently 2 weeks from now, then great, but I think we should do bi-weekly for now.
Senator Lee, you have the floor for a discussion point.
So while I definitely agree with Senator Cowell that it's the university stepping back is not a decision that I agree with completely. But additionally, I more agree with Senator Johnson, in that Dr. Wood coming by was just a little bit redundant. Most of the information she said today is in an email that went out to the entire student body yesterday, things like describing the randomized computer program, selecting 2,000 individuals. And so it's just a lot of the information that she's presenting is public information. And so I encourage us to research on our own. And I do believe that we should hold her and the administration accountable to taking these precautions and responsibilities. But I don't believe we're learning a whole lot of information here that is not already available to the public.
Okay, before I move to Senator Mosley, because this is a period of discussion, let's not reiterate points. If you agree, it's been stated, please only add new discussion points that have not been brought up, just to save time. Senator Mosley, you have the floor.
I would like to say that I feel as if she should be here on the first of the month. I feel like this is a good way to start off the month with COVID updates. Not restating what everybody else said, but with Dr. West coming and giving us a monthly report, it allows us to see how UNT is doing for the month, right, for the week. The same stuff was said since the first ending when she was here until now. So I feel like having her once a month would be very, very beneficial.
Okay, Senator Kwee-Bintoro.
I agree with the previous two senators. I think that I feel like it would be better to just like have her come on an ad hoc basis when we request it, to be honest. I feel like if there are major updates that get sent out, that'll be a prime time. But if we just have her come on a regular basis, she's gonna read from the dashboard, read from any emails that get sent, and then go to a questioning period.
Okay, let's do Senator Velasco.
While I do agree with some of the points that you guys are making, having an admin, especially at the rank of Dr. Witt, be present here that frequently is extremely rare. Working from the legislation I learned getting a hold of admin is so incredibly hard. So the fact that we have her here and are able to discuss and actually present these questions, while sometimes we may feel it may be redundant, it's an opportunity to ask these questions. And to have that opportunity only once a month, like we would have to wait until the next month to, ask something, maybe it might not even be COVID, maybe it's something a constituent brought up to you. And so it's just another opportunity to have that admin present to bring those concerns up to them if they didn't know about them in the first place.
Senator McDowall.
Yes, it's extremely rare, and I know my question might have gone by a little bit quickly, but there are things that I feel that the administration has kind of just been glossing over. When you have, to go back to my question, when you have a voluntary process that always skews results a certain way, if you take statistics, they talk about that pretty frequently. So the opportunity to ask her the hard questions that are unlikely to be answered in the email to the way that you'd like them to be answered is a valuable opportunity, and sort of hamstringing ourselves like that, I think, would be a mistake.
All right, let's do Senator Johnson.
I do agree that it is very rare to have an administrator work with you, but Dr. Witt, we just saw her step in for the rec. I don't think we're dealing with someone who just shrugs us off. She has made it a point to where you can call her, visit her, email her. And so again, we're going over the more redundant messaging and stuff like that. I do not think that a volunteering basis is going to go well, but if something does happen, again, we can invite her once a month. And then if we need to talk about it, we invite her again, if needed be on a needs basis.
I'm going to do Senator Banerjee, Brown, Cowell. Go ahead, Senator Banerjee.
Okay, my general suggestion would be to keep her bi-weekly, and then we can cancel if we feel like we don't need it, just because I do think the student body as well could have questions that we can compile bi-weekly instead of every week. So we could get together all of our questions, put it in the unofficial chat, get it from other people. I think that could be a more productive way to have the discussions and not make it feel as redundant. That's just my suggestion.
All right, Senator Brown.
It has been made clear throughout Dr. Witt's many updates to us that, as previously discussed, she typically reads from public documents. And anytime she is asked a question that does seem hard, she takes a very business PR approach to it. Typically, if it's too difficult, she dances around the topic. And I don't see this changing. And so I feel like bringing her bi-weekly, she will feel less like she's answering the same questions every week and giving us numbers that are already made public every week.
Just to save discussion time, it seems like bi-weekly is becoming more of a trend. The floor is open for any motions as well. Senator Johnson?
I move that we go to a period of voting for bi-weekly. And if that doesn't work or fails, then we go to a period voting for once a month as needed.
Is there a second?
Senator Cowell seconds.
So it was moved and seconded that we want Dr. Witt to present bi-weekly COVID-19 updates to the Senate. Does someone oppose that motion?
Point of order, Mr. Speaker, then after that, if that failed, then we go to a once a month and then as needed.
Yes, but going with the first one first. Does someone oppose to bi-weekly updates?
Point of information.
Yes.
Does this begin with her appearing next week, or will next week be counting this week?
Y'all, Senate can decide that. Y'all can make an amendment to the motion.
Senator Brown amends the motion to begin the week after.
So that would be not the 6th, but the 13th.
Yes.
So bi-weekly updates from Dr. Witt will begin October 13th. Okay.
Point of order.
Okay. Does anyone oppose?
Point of information, are we just doing like unanimous voting or we like objection, or are we doing roll call voting?
So I'm currently asking if there's any objections to that motion. If there is, we'll go to different style of voting.
And I object, Senator Lee objects.
All right. All right, let's do a vote by hands. If, so essentially, if I say aye, please raise your hand. If you say no, then you'll raise your hand for no. So everyone in favor, raise your hand for aye for bi-weekly reports. All right. Nay. All right, it seems like the ayes have it and the motion is passed. All right, so we have now bi-weekly reports starting on October 13th from Dr. Witt. All right, let's move on to the next item on the agenda. So I believe we have a written report or a written motion presented by Legislative Affairs. So let me have that pulled up. And this is regarding executive reports. So let me have this pulled up for y'all. Yeah, I'm about to. Okay, I believe this has been shared to you already. Senator McDowall, you can take it away.
All right, thank you. This motion is, well, I'll just read it. Motion on the executive report procedure. Let it be known that this motion requires a simple majority, 50% plus one vote to pass. Additionally, this motion is this document is a motion put into writing, not legislation. So ratification occurs upon passage in the Senate without any need for presidential approval. Whereas student Senate meetings have consistently been running later than expected this semester, with an average meeting running 37 minutes past the expected end time. While executive reports have run an average of 47 minutes, this procedure is expected to limit executive reports to about around 17 to 25 minutes, depending on the amount of questions. Whereas clarification of Senate positions on various items would increase meeting efficiency and increase the ratio of novel business versus procedural or routine business. Let it be resolved that executive reports will occur in the following manner. Each executive officer reporting at a Senate meeting must submit a written report to the Speaker by 11:59 p.m. the Sunday before the meeting at which they present. This written report shall include work they've done since their previous report. This written report shall be included with the agenda for the meeting at which they present. This written report will contain any pertinent reference material. Executive officers will present in the order specified by the Speaker so that the Speaker may accommodate scheduling. Executive officers will have up to 2 minutes to present the verbal report to go along with their written report. The verbal report should include work done in the period between the written report submission and the meeting. The Sergeant at Arms shall be responsible for timing the verbal report and providing notice when time runs out. The Sergeant at Arms will provide a 30-second notice to the executive if requested. The floor will then open to questions from the Senate. When there are no more questions, the next executive officer may submit their verbal report. The following individuals are considered executive officer absent direction from the President. President, the Vice President, Chief of Staff, Communications Director, Outreach Director, Diversity and Inclusion Co-Directors, Intern Program Director, and Student Allocations Director. Let it be resolved, this procedure will be effective upon passage in the Senate and until the end of the fall session 2021 respectfully submitted. I believe there's also an appendix detailing the time statistics for the meetings we've had so far, not including this one. I went through that kind of fast, but
All right.
thank you.
The floor is open for any motions. Senator Johnson.
I motion that we go to a period of discussion for questioning. Which one is it to ask questions about?
Period of question. Just make sure that we're saying I move before every time.
I move that we motion to go to a period of questions. That's it.
Yes.
move to.
No, you don't say that. You just say
Oh, okay.
You want to repeat that again?
I move that we go to a period of questions.
Senator Lewis, second.
Senator M second.
Awesome. We're now period of questioning. Grant, you have the first question.
I love this. I'm just gonna put it out there. I just want to know, is the time limit, I'm a little confused on the word absent to the president, just down at the E. Does that mean the president will also be limited to this?
No, so the bylaws says that the president can determine who are executive officers.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, executive officers haven't been posted. On the website, there is, I believe, an executive board list. But the bylaws are very specific about the wording, and so I just want to keep the wording consistent.
Thank you.
Would someone like to recognize JT to speak?
Senator Schulte recognizes JT is about to speak.
Is there a second?
With that.
Shiloh second.
Senator Shiloh, second. JT, you have the floor.
I do have questions about the legislation. I do agree. I think that definitely time, I've been in SGA for a while, so definitely time on exec reports can be limited and lowered. I do agree with that, no doubt. What I don't agree with is why would we be submitting a written report to you guys on Sunday, and then you require us to come here on Wednesdays, which we have to be here anyway, to give you a 2-minute report. If this whole point is to save time, why not just say at the end of the day, exec members have 2 minutes or less to give their report, and then you have an amount of time allocated for questions. That way you're limiting time instead of us submitting a written report to you on Sunday, then coming up for 2 minutes to clarify if we need to or add something. If it's about time, let's limit time. But I ask, because we are the ones being affected by this, if we have to do extra work outside of what we already do, I don't think that's fair to us. So I do say if it's about time, let's limit time. I agree. But if it's adding extra work to our plate, I don't agree with that.
Give me 1 second. So JT, this is a written motion. It's not legislation, just for clarification purposes. Go ahead, Senator McDowall.
So to clarify some things that you said, the Senate has never, in the time I've been here at least, and as far as I'm aware, there's nothing in the bylaws that requires executives to present at Senate meetings. Certainly they're allowed to, but we don't require you to. That being said, your written report should be submitted with the agenda. senators have to submit legislation at that time, so that's when your report is required, according to this legislation. So that being said, certainly that's up to your president, whether you appear at Senate meetings or unless we require you to, but we have not submitted any legislation to require you to come to meetings.
I have a point of information really quickly.
Yes.
I think the other part of this question was asking about, what the time would be spent doing during the 2-minute report. I think primarily it's for the Senate to ask questions, so that we have the information beforehand, the stuff you would have already wanted to present verbally, but in written format instead to save time. And then that time would be used for clarification on what you were already going to say that was in the written report. And then the Senate has time to ask questions.
Yes.
Before we continue, sorry, I just want to make this very clear. Point of information is to ask more additional questions. It's not for comments. I do appreciate the comment. If we want to make comments, we can move to a period of discussion. I just want to throw that out there now. If you don't have a question regarding the written motion, I will stop you. I'll make sure, or will state that you're out of order. I'm just throwing that now because we're making comments, we're making point of information. It should be questions regarding the item on hand, just to save time. But go ahead, Senator McDowall, sorry.
To clarify, the 2 minutes, and this is up to 2 minutes, the officer does not have to take the full 2 minutes, is to detail any work they've done on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, which I assume happens. Then there is a period of questioning, so you would be here for that. You would be here for 2 minutes to detail your work on those 3 days, and then answer questions.
All right, Senator Johnson, you have the floor to ask a question.
So I don't know if this is like, I got lost a little bit, surprise, but I don't know if this is part of JT's question. So they're submitting this would submit a written report, and then they have to give a recap on the report that they wrote?
I can answer that question if that's okay with you, Senator McDowell. So essentially, I don't know if you noticed with the email that I attached the agenda with, current executive members were transitioning into written reports because overall we got feedback that executive reports were taking a big chunk of our meetings. To save time for the Senate, we decided to provide a written report to be presented to the Senate beforehand. So overall, they will only cover things that are not covered in the report. They can clarify things in their speech that will be only 2 minutes. So overall, they can talk about anything that's not in the report. Overall, because you have the report, they already have submitted that information to you of what they have done or plan to do. That's why we're making this change. Does that help? Does that answer your
So
question?
basically whatever they did, or something popped up that they didn't put in the report that got submitted, they could just talk about it briefly, and then we could also.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's do Senator Brown. Do you want me to scroll somewhere? Seems like you're looking at something.
It's kind of a two-parter just because I need clarification for the first one. The written report runs from Sunday to Sunday, correct?
That's correct.
Does this not mean that we will end up with redundancy from the previous oral report?
That's correct. There would be redundancy from the previous oral report, but the idea is that more information would be better for the Senate than less information. So we could have the written report run from Wednesday to Sunday, but then you have a weird gray area where there's 3 days of work where nothing is included in the written report.
Could we not just omit the verbal report and use the 2 minutes for questioning instead? And what was previously the verbal report could just be next meeting?
I mean, it's a different procedure. We did discuss this a little bit in the committee because I actually did present this to the Legislative Affairs Committee and it was approved to present to you guys, but it's a different decision is all. So certainly any member can make a motion to that effect and we can vote on it.
Senator Schulte?
I completely agree with JT. And I would like to ask any other executive staff if they would like to share their thoughts or opinions on a piece of legislation.
Remember, this is a written motion. This is not legislation. So just to clarify, overall, this is tentative. We have not moved this motion yet. This is just in writing for y'all.
Point of information, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Did you say previously that the executives are if this motion wasn't happening or never came up, they were already transitioning into a written report?
Yes, but overall, this provides a clear definition of how that would look like.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. So, Bella, I think your hand was raised. You are recognized? Or no?
Senator Schulte recognizes Bella has in the back.
Bella has procedure rights because she's part of Eagles Nest. Fun fact.
Yeah, fun fact, I don't have to recognize. We learned that the other day. My questioning is, do you guys want to move back into a period of discussion? Yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
So, I mean, the floor is open for any motions. So
I motion
you
that
move.
I move that we go to a period of discussion.
All right, Senator Johnson, you have the first discussion point.
So the executives, if I'm correct, y'all aren't too happy about this motion. No? Or you can just nod just because that's kind of answered my question. So then if this is just guidelines, correct? On how the transitioning into executive reports will go, could we not just simply say, if it's not in the report, just say it, and if we have questions, we'll read the report and then ask you that, but we'll have it limited to 2 minutes?
Would someone like to recognize Casey to speak? Is there a second?
Senator Brown, seconds.
The floor is yours, Casey.
Hello,
For discussion
everyone.
point.
I wouldn't say that we're not happy or unhappy. This is also a new thing to us. For a lot of us, it's the first time that we're seeing the motion, as well as when it's released, stuff like that. So I guess there's just a lot of questions or maybe a little bit of confusion. Another question that might be brought up that y'all might ask yourselves is, do y'all even want our executive reports? If this is too complicated, if this is too restrictive, or if this isn't effective, is there another vessel in which you want us to convey our executive reports about how we operate? I do think that this motion does lack a little bit of perspective from us when it comes to when our work happens. I know student allocations, most of their stuff is Mondays and Tuesdays. If this is submitting reports on Sundays, we're missing that whole thing, and then you're not going to hear that for another week. JT also had the notice of time.
I'm sorry. Guys, let's make sure that no one's talking when we have a speaker that has the floor. Thank you. Continue.
JT brought up the point of the written and verbal. If this is purely time and time is the issue, maybe we just limit our executive reports to a time and limit the question per person for a time. Maybe this just needs to be thought out for the next meeting. I know we had written reports for this meeting, and we might just need to operate through that for a week. And maybe I think it's the Legislative Affairs Committee, I think brought this forward. Am I correct on that? Yes. And so maybe if you'd like to meet with some executive members, maybe get our perspective on it, and maybe what would be the most efficient for meetings and for y'all, I think that might be a better idea, but that's my point.
Okay. Senator Lee.
Hi, guys. So, and, you know, a lot of us are talking about time. So my question is, how much time, I mean, because JT expressed that it would be, not a waste of time, but it would be unnecessary and redundant to do both the spoken and verbal. So how much time do y'all think it really takes to do the written report? Because I understand y'all work a lot, but I'm just curious, because if it's the information that's being conveyed already, does it truly take up that much time to add the written report? I just want to know.
I'm going to go to Senator Shiloh. think you, or,
Recognize and-
yeah, who you recognizing?
Okay, Senator Sandler recognizes Billy.
All right, Zoe, is there a second?
Senator Lee second.
All right, Zoe, you have the floor.
Okay, so I just want to shine some insight. I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we send and receive, if not more than 15 emails a day. And we have at least maybe 3, 4, and I know especially Vice President David and President Devin Skinner have more than 5 maybe meetings per day. So things are constantly flowing. In the event planning stage, I know for myself, things always happen. I always get a new email, I always get a new update on if something fell through or if something's gonna be added. So I feel as though, and especially because I don't have office hours on Thursday and Friday, and I tend to not work over the weekends. Sometimes I do. So I will say there's not a lot of progress to be made. And in this last report that we were asked to make, I did struggle. If you ask anybody, I usually make my reports pretty early, but I did struggle because I'm pulling from things that I haven't had the chance to do just yet. So I would like to just add that for you guys to have that insight.
Okay. Let's do Senator McDowell discussion point. Go ahead.
I certainly did not mean to catch anyone off guard by submitting this motion. That's something me and the speaker had discussed. I didn't expect to throw any executives off guard. So I apologize. I didn't expect it to apply this meeting, but I think if this isn't what the Senate wants it to look like in particular, and if this is a burden on the executives, then that's fine. But if you look at the statistics for how long executive reports have been running, you have 54 minutes, 33 minutes, 31 minutes, 69 minutes for the last meeting. That's longer than an hour for executive reports. And I know no one wants to stay here so late every day, and so I'm just looking for solutions. So even if the solution doesn't take the form of this motion in particular, I'm more than willing to take input and we can look for a different solution. Thank you.
Okie dokie. Before we move on, I just want to say overall again, this is the first time we're going to introduce it. This is just overall laying out how it's going to look like. Seems like we have different thoughts on how executive reports will look like. A suggestion can be, as we can refer it back to the Legislative Affairs Committee for more discussion, or we can take a vote on the legislation or make legislation in the written motion. It seems like we all have different opinions on it. I do not want to continue after discussion point making the same point, because just to throw that out there, we do have an appointment in the back. We still have executive reports. We still have items on the agenda to go over. So I just want to make that very clear, because overall, the feedback that we're getting as officers and as the Speaker of the Senate is our meetings are long. So what the officer team decided, and of course, Legislative Affairs Committee, great job. We're trying to make sure that we're taking all feedback in and we're making an actual plan to address them. So overall, this is what that's all doing. But overall, let's go to Senator Brown.
Senator Brown moves to refer the motion back to the Legislative Affairs Committee.
McDowell seconds.
Does anyone oppose?
Senator Lee opposes. I'm sorry, I just have one suggestion that I want to make. This is kind of open for everyone. What are y'all's thoughts on just changing the deadline to where like if execs submit it like Tuesday night? Because I know like the thing that David sent earlier about college reports, like getting it this morning, that was plenty of time for me to do like just a quick look over it. And so if, it's on a weekly basis, I think that would give the execs more time to gather their information that happened throughout the week. And also it would give us a day we can look at it throughout the beginning of the meeting.
Would someone like to recognize Casey to speak?
Senator Schulte recognizes Casey to speak.
Is there a second? Awesome, thank you. Luke, go ahead. Casey.
Yes, I think it would be the most effective, my suggestion would be to refer back to the committee and maybe pull some more perspective on it to really flesh it out. I know sometimes making ad hoc changes can skew things in the future, and before anything were to take effect for the entire session, I think it would be a good idea to maybe refer it back. That's my only opinion.
Okay, The floor is open for any motions. Senator Schulte.
Move back to a period of questioning.
Is there a second?
Senator Lee second.
All right, we're now in the period of questioning. Senator Schulte, you have the first question.
So this might be kind of like two questions. I think it's just one. Can I ask who the like chair or vice chair of the legislative committee is?
The chair of the legislative committee is Senator Kwee-Bintoro, and the vice chair of the legislative committee is Senator Cowell.
So Senator Cowell and Senator Kwee-Bintoro.
Okay, awesome. So I really appreciate what the legislative committee is trying to do, like trying to shorten the meetings. I get that. It would be a lot easier on everyone who attends. But what are the opinions of the executive staff taken into consideration at all during the creation of this?
I'm the primary author of the motion, and I'll admit I did not really take those considerations in. My main point of contact was the speaker.
Just a suggestion. For the Senate, I guess, I think just send this back to the legislative committee, like we've already been discussed. Maybe they could talk about it with the exec staff a little bit more, and then we could revisit this at a later time.
Okay. Is there any, can someone recognize JT to speak? Or
Sorry, Presiding seconds.
all right, JT, you have the floor.
Am I allowed to do a point of orders to be clear, to clarify something?
Sure.
I wanted to clarify in the Constitution because I remember as a senator, it's very specific. If I can remember correctly in the Constitution, that exec has to give reports at Senate meetings, in the bylaws, I'm sorry, in our bylaws. Section 5.
I can pull it up for you up here.
Just to make sure that we're clear, because I know it was brought up in a prior conversation that you could get rid of exec reports, and I don't think that you can do that. It just, you can clarify if it's written or verbal, but I do not think you can remove.
Give me 1 second.
Article 3, Section 5.
Of the bylaws?
Yes.
Are you referring to section A at the behest of the student senate? Or any or all executive officers may be required to give a report at the at student senate meetings. Mr. Speaker. Yeah, go.
Yeah, so by the bylaws, we are allowed to require paid executive members to come to Senate meetings and speak, but we have not done so.
All right, Senator Johnson, go ahead.
I move that this, whatever, it's not a piece of legislation, so it's a motion, go back to the Legislative Affairs Committee.
You're referring it back.
Referring it back and have executive input on it.
Sorry, Presiding seconds.
All right, does someone object? All right, the motion passes. It's referred back to the committee. All right. Again, excellent job, legislative affair committees. I do appreciate taking the time to make sure that our Senate meetings are running more efficiently for everyone. All right, now it's time for executive reports. Again, I think it's a new month. We have a whole new setup going on. Because we did ask the executive officers to provide written reports, they've been distributed to you. Points are on the screen. Would the executive branch continue to do executive reports like before, or we just kind of open the floor for any questions since this information was already distributed? How does the Senate want to proceed? Senator Johnson?
I would like the Senate, do I have to make a motion, or can I just, you just ask us a question?
You can, I mean, you're trying to make this, the floor is open, so you can do it. Okay.
I would say that if we have a question, or if there's something that you like really want us to know, then say it. Otherwise, we'll ask you if we have questions.
Okay. So do you have anything to share, JT?
Hey, interns, y'all say hey to Senate. They've been thugging it out. Well, all I want to say is I hope y'all are enjoying yourselves and having fun in Senate.
Okay, do we have any questions for the interim program director? No questions, all right, let's move on to the next.
Point of order, Senator, I've had a question.
Okay, JT, come back. All right, go ahead, Luke.
My question is there like a plan for what us senators could do with our interns? Because personally, I do not know what to do with my intern exactly, besides possibly inviting them to shadow me during office hours or something like that. But is there anything planned for that?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that as somebody who was a senator. So you as a senator ran on a platform to advocate for your college or do things within our student body to make it better, correct? So the expectation with Senate assistance is it's not just about legislation. If you have a passion project you're working on, if there's something that you actually campaigned on that you're actually trying to do, invite them to meetings, show them how you set up the email, show them the process or the steps that you go through before the legislation even hits the floor. Maybe explain to them how it works working with the vice president. Maybe explain to them how it feels to table. Take them to tabling. Have them help you out. I know it's required that you all do office hours, correct? It's an hour a week, right? Take them with you. Ask them to help you set up. Does that make sense? So those are kind of some key things that you can do. And I know some senators have already been doing with their interns.
Senator Johnson?
Does it have to be our, in particularly, assigned intern? Like if there's an intern who wants to get more experience and it's just convenient for a time that lines up with the senator, are you looking into that to maybe partnering for a simple meeting or initiative like you just discussed?
Yes, if an intern comes to you or it's known that you're working on a passion project through your Senate legislation and all that stuff, then they are more than welcome to work with you on different passion projects. And I think I tried to make that clear in the beginning that you can still work with other interns.
And is there maybe a list of like what in particular interns are passionate about, what that could maybe be distributed to the senators?
I actually have not comprised of that. I know them from their interview notes, but definitely maybe I should send that list out to y'all and make that appropriate so that you can kind of see, but also to remember you are a senator. So if you're working on something, that should be known. That should not be a secret. Just to be clear. Thank you.
Senator M.
Just to clarify, there is no such thing that we're required to do. We're told you want us to invite our interns to what we're doing and look at that.
Correct. And the reason why I don't have stimulations is because as senators, is something that I've heard from speaking with David, a lot of you have other priorities or things that you do. We do not want to make this experience overwhelming for you or the interns, if that makes sense. So we're trying to make it as flexible as possible, because the last thing that I want is a senator to say they left Senate because of intern shadowing. That's the last thing I want. So we're trying to make it as flexible as possible and the best experience for you and also the intern. And that might look differently for everybody.
And if I had something on as well, I know a lot of y'all been asking me, hey David, what do I do with my interns? Maria was my intern last year. One thing that I did was getting to know them. That's the biggest thing, is interns are here because they want to see what we're doing behind closed doors. That's the whole point of this, is overall to give them a better idea of how Senate works. Overall, think about it as like how a day in the life of a senator. Think about it that way. They want to see what you're doing, what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about something and you're eager to get it done and you execute it, wouldn't it be better if someone like an intern saw you do that all steps of the way? That's the thing that I think JT is trying to speak on, is we want interns to be part of those moments where we're getting things done and it's actionable and it's impactful, because overall, that's the whole point of what we're doing and it's fun. But I'm gonna stop. Okay. Senator Velasco.
Yeah, David still calls me his baby intern. As an intern last year, my advice to the interns would be also don't be afraid to speak up and share your passion projects with us, like JT said. So from last year, David was my senator, or David, we kind of started working on something that was like absolutely huge. Unfortunately, we never got to it, but now we still get to work together and we're still working on it. So if you have any passion projects, please let us know in any way that we can assist you. It's a duo, it's a partnership. So let you know what I'm working on. I want to know what you're working on. I'll
also, shout out Daphne.
All right, Senator Johnson.
I just wanted to say that there was an intern who won.
Go ahead, Emma.
Okay, I just wanted to, I was wondering if there was a way to make the senators' passion projects and what they're working on more accessible to the interns as well, because I know that you were really passionate about us reaching out to them, but to be honest, I'm not really sure like what any of them are working on or like who I would align with. And I understand it's like both of our responsibility to like understand that, but if there's like they said, like a list, you can find that or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll say that me and David will work together and we'll meet this Friday and we'll talk about putting together a list of passion projects. But let's be clear, Emma, they are elected senators, right? You were not, you were selected for your position, correct? And so you should know what they're doing at all times. Does that make sense? I don't make that very clear in transparency. If I'm a senator and I represent a college, it should be known what I'm doing because I ran. And so you should be able to see, it should be visible within legislation, what I'm telling you I'm working on every week, in college reports, what I'm working on. But I definitely understand where you're coming from and I want to make sure that's easily accessible to you. But always remember, as senator, you should know what your senator is doing.
All righty. Any more questions? Go ahead, Senator McDowell.
Is there a way we can contact our interns?
Yes, so that email has been sent out and anybody who has a intern that they're shadowing, you receive the email with their email that has been updated twice. I know some senators have dropped. So I think we updated actually 3 times and sent out 3 different emails.
It is located on Teams, post everything on Teams. We love Teams. I love Teams. It's on there. I posted an updated one as well. Everything is on Teams. Okay. Did you have a question, Senator Brown? No. Okay.
My last thing before I wrap up, please, senators, remember that what your experience, what you're giving the interns is what they see. A lot of them want to be senators, and I would hate for their experience this year to be down or anything like that. So please remember, come with the energy. They're looking up to y'all and depending on y'all to be the future senators or whatever else in SGA.
All right, thank you, JT. Let's move on to the next executive. Go ahead, Casey.
Yes, Alexis couldn't make it. I don't think they're on the teams. They had an important appointment at 6. But they did not get a written report in, but they are still working with UTC on the event they're doing for, I believe it's sexual harassment awareness, as well as domestic assault. So that's being worked on and that's being pushed with the ambassador program. So they're going to be helping with that event, as well as they're working with the ambassadors on making new tabling boards. So we're going through what kind of materials they're going to need for that. And hopefully get that ordered soon so we can have some nice new boards to use. And they are still accepting like ideas. If y'all have anything that you want to see on those boards, anything specific, more than welcome to reach out to SGA Inclusion at UNT.edu.
Any question for Casey on behalf of Alexis? No questions? All right, thank you. Zoe, do we have any questions for Zori? Zori, do you have anything you want to present?
Let's touch on yesterday's event. So we had a self-defense course. We had 14 registered, I believe 7, including 1 ambassador attended. I believe it was a successful event. Everybody learned something. I learned something. And I'm hoping that they'll be able to implement it in their defense on campus. Something I'm glad Senator Johnson just walked back in because this has been something that he's asked me. So we finally got approval for the town hall event. It will be October 19th at 6:30. Work with Chief of Staff Casey Jimenez today to get the room booked. We're looking at the Lyceum. And we will have co-sponsorship with the Multicultural Center, the Black Student Union, and Student Affairs. So yeah, Dean of Students, thank you.
Any questions for Zoe? Let's start with Senator Johnson. Go ahead.
So glad I walked back in at that moment. What time, what day did you say?
October 19th
19th.
at 6:30.
Senator McDowell.
Thank you. Just touching on Native American Heritage Month, I was wondering if you've gotten in touch with any student orgs. I know NASA in particular is really excited for that month. So.
Yes, actually. I contacted the president of NASA and I heard back. So the event that we had planned on that specific day, they asked that we not go forward with it and we just go ahead and attend their event and get more information. So that's something that I'm looking into, but I'm also interested in setting up a personal meeting with them, just so I can learn some more information, just so we can kind of get a partnership going. So we set that for next Monday at 2 p.m.
Thank you. Senator Brown?
As far as the town hall meeting, I believe when I was in the office, y'all mentioned that there being an overflow room. How do you want to determine who is going to be in the Lyceum and who has to be in the overflow?
Thank you, I missed it. So we're set up a RSVP. So we are practicing social distancing in the Lyceum. Anybody who's not comfortable with attending due to trauma, anything related, or due to COVID, they will be able to log in. We haven't decided whether it's going to be Teams or Zoom yet, but they will be able to log in. We will have a moderator who will be asking questions on their behalf, and the overflow room will just be anybody who wanted to walk in and watch it on the screen, or who didn't get to RSVP in time.
Any other questions? Senator Johnson?
And I might have missed, but I'm so sorry, I was in the restroom. How do we sign up for RSVP for this?
Okay, I haven't linked it yet.
Okay.
I sent the graphic to Matthew just literally, I think, 2 hours before this event. Yeah, so really, I'm just waiting to make sure we get the room approved. We sent that in today. We got everything confirmed today. Officer Kasi reached out to me. We spoke yesterday's event and then this morning to get Chief Reynolds' approval. So yeah, it's still in the works.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any more questions? No, thank you, Zoe.
No problem.
Next, we have Matthew.
Matthew has his report here as well. They did have a 5-minute video. We don't have to play that. We can send it out to y'all because it's very long, very intense. But Matt, the video is very sentiment focused. So I would suggest y'all watch this at some point, whether it's in this meeting, if y'all want us to see it in this meeting, or if we'd rather just send it out to y'all. Or put it in the Teams, whatever works for the Senate.
Senator Brown?
Yes, can we put this link in the Teams that way we can review it?
Okay, I'll make sure that David gets that and it can go into the Teams.
I can send an email to everyone tonight.
Thank you.
All right, Grant?
So the video, was it for, like, based on the one-on-ones we did, or what we said, or like, can you give like just a brief little summary about it?
Yeah, so it goes into some of the one-on-ones. He talks about how you've talked about Abigial already, talking about helping out with tabling and marketing, stuff like that. I don't want to misrepresent this video because Matthew said it's very specific. But yes, we'll make sure y'all get that video. Please watch it. It's very informational and he's really excited to be working with y'all. So.
Any other questions? No? All right. Oh, yes, no? Okay. Maya?
So the only thing I have to add is we had the Clark Town Hall on Monday, and we had about 10 people participate in that survey. Today in the office, I was currently working on a town hall report with just all the statistics that I've gathered from that, so y'all can see, because I also have other meetings at the end of this week, so I was gonna wait till I gathered all that information to put it in the report. So if y'all have any questions, oh, one thing, tomorrow, Fresh Check Day from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you want to volunteer for that through SGA, please let me know by the end of the Senate meeting, and I'll email you all the information for that.
All right. Senator Brown?
Can you briefly explain to us what Fresh Check Day is?
Yes, so Fresh Check Day aims to bridge the gap of students and mental health resources. It's kind of just like a mental health awareness day of students going through. I think last Senate report, I said the full definition. I don't remember it word for word, but that's basically the gist of it.
There's gonna be like food and like free events and stuff.
All right, Senator Johnson?
Yes, for the town halls, on social media, I saw great things about that. Would you say on your end that it went very well, very smoothly, and y'all got a lot of input? Or at least some input from the constituents?
Yeah, so far we've had 32 people fill out the survey, and we visited 3 town halls, so that's already about 10 per town hall, which is what my
goal. So I'm already using that data to look at any potential events we can have. I was also like, once I present that report, I can present it to y'all so y'all can write legislation on it. But I'm very happy with the overall feedback we've gathered, and I'm looking forward to all the other town halls to get all the other input. Yeah.
And are you still wanting it just to be executive members, or since we kind of saw how two of them went, right? That now senators are welcome to help or attend.
So far it hasn't been like a sit down and present thing. So, and we're trying not to make it too table-y. We just want to make it like hey, we have some SGA merch for you, and if you fill out the survey, your name will be entered in the giveaway. I'm not too sure about how many senators, or if I want to open up to senators just yet, because so far it's just been like 3 people standing there with the survey and QR code and some stickers and everything. So maybe for other
More
towns
of
in
a
the
spring
future.
initiative.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ooh. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Maya.
Thank you.
All right, let's do Bella. Bella, is there anything you want to bring up?
Yeah, as Casey said, most of my stuff happens on Monday and Tuesdays, and this was sent Sunday, so I will update you guys. The route committee met and approved their first 3 applications. We funded $3,250 on Monday out of the route grant, which was the first allocations, which was good. Eagles Nest met last night. I was not the presiding officer because the org presenting was the org I'm president of. So President Skinner was the presiding officer. They were fully funded last night. Eagles Nest has now allocated almost $9,000. So steadily chipping away at the fund. Those are the 2 big updates. Resource meeting was on Tuesday as well. We had 5 orgs come out to that. Not crazy, but any other questions?
All right, thank you, Bella. Casey, you're up.
I have nothing else to add. So.
Any questions, Senator McDowall?
Yeah, I was just hoping you could elaborate on the Texas Student Government Coalition, and how that meeting went.
Yes, so the Texas Student Government Coalition, it died off around 2019. It's a coalition of, at the time, I believe it was 30 universities in Texas. It died off. Some people from Texas A&M actually are trying to revive it. They kind of beat us to it. So, because that's something that David and Devin had ran on, was rejoining the Texas Student Government Coalition. So we're still following that. We're still joining it, and it's being revived by Texas A&M. It went well. It was very informational about there's going to be a fall conference, and they're still deciding how people are going to attend it, because if it's in person, we're gonna have to send someone to College Station. So trying to figure out that logistical nightmare will happen later, but it was really good. There will most likely be a virtual option. There was only 10 people in the meeting, 3 of them from Texas A&M and some other universities, most of them in the A&M system. But it went well. I think it's definitely something that we want to look into and rejoining, because it does bring a benefit.
Go ahead.
And so any action concerning that is eventually coming to the Senate, right?
Oh, it would require to come to the Senate. The TSGC will not accept anyone unless the senates of the universities approve it. So either way, it would have to go through y'all.
Okay. Senator Brown?
Is the representation for this coalition primarily executive, or will you be looking for other branches, such as judicial and Senate?
So when it comes to TSGC, they do ask that the president be the representative from each organization. With what that looks like going forward, the TSGC does have its own bylaws and constitution. It's really hard to find an updated one. So we've been trying to work with A&M about how they're going to do that. And whether that's going to be followed, because there's a lot of issues that no one's been in the coalition for 3 years, and it requires action from people who've been there for at least 2. But it gets really complicated. But when it comes to representation, right now it's just me and Devin who are the contacts from it. But we can look at that going forward. I believe it's only 1 delegate for each university.
Any other questions? All right, no. All right, this is Devin's report. By 1, 2, 3. Casey, go ahead.
Yeah, I can answer any questions for Devin as well.
Any questions for Casey about Devin? Go ahead, Andy.
I was wondering how judicial appointments were going. How many applications have you gotten, and, you know, what does that look like?
I believe we have 4 applications. So setting up interviews, it's been very slow. People haven't shown interest in the judicial branch, and that's been a long-running issue in the past years. So expect more advertising about it. It's hard to incentivize the judicial branch. You know, they're not paid, except the election commissioner. But that's what we have right now. Just expect more advertisement. And I believe once, hopefully if we get a good number and get good candidates, then we'll be able to bring them forward to the Senate.
Any other questions? Nope. Thank you, Casey. My report. Overall, you have been receiving emails from me regarding deans. So business was completed. Me and Luke met with CMH dean yesterday. Me and Senator Cowell have one coming up soon with music. Me and Gracie have one with college science. For class, there's 3 optional dates. I will choose the date that I have the most centers available for. If that date does not, you can't make it, I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting the most centers available to me on that specific day. And I think it's looking to be one of the, I forgot what day it was of the week. So I will make that decisions. If it does not fall on the date that you're available to attend, you will have to follow up with the dean to set up a meeting. If you would like me to be there, I will more than happy to be there with you. But overall, that would be your responsibility since I did partner on my end. Wave 3 is coming up soon. It was going to be for the colleges that don't have any representation or we need more of, so we'll definitely work on that. I'm going to work on Senate onboarding with Senator Abigial. She's over there. Say hi. Everyone welcome her. Yay. Tabling was this week. Overall, we've seen the process. I have one pending application. Hopefully that will get fixed soon. I do have a meeting with transportation on Friday to go over their social media tactics. I am going to be participating in the All for NT for All. That's one of the leadership conference that the CLS is doing. Announcements. Attendance status will go out Friday. Overall, it's a reminder, if you're not, so 3 absences and you're out. So Senate meetings, tabling, office hours. Just letting you know, I will inform you of that. Upcoming deadlines. Sunday, hard deadline for stuff. Committee reports for my Senate standing committees. Those we'll start doing them next week. I will go over that later in the slides. But overall, that's basically what I've been up to. Trying to think. If you have not posted your location on office hours, please do that. This is like the 3rd week I've asked y'all. I've now sent the actual, I learned how to send the post from Teams directly to email. A lot of you have done it. Amazing. Advertisement will go out next week according to what you have told me and on that thread. I want to make sure that we're also helping y'all advertise. But overall, I've heard really good comments about tabling, so I'm really, really excited about that. Questions? Go ahead, Grant.
For the advertising, do you want us to also tell you if the days we're tabling, or is it like if it says, because I mean, I put down on mine, I said I am office hours from 12 to 1 Friday in the org sync. Does that mean I need to tell you I'm tabling 12 to 1 on Fridays as well?
So this is for only office hours.
Yes, what I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you posted that, I will do it for you. I can tag you. For tabling, I know a lot of us have done it so far. Thank you for adding us. I'm trying my best to make sure that we have your post, your Instagram story on the main SGA account. If your account is private, I'm sorry, I get no notification, it doesn't pop up because your account is private. That's why I recommend sending a screenshot to me or the officer so we can get that fixed. So if you haven't done tabling yet, and we have a couple, it's still Wednesday. If your account is private, if you do not want to go private, because I'm not forcing anyone, this is your personal social media account, so, yeah, go ahead.
Is there a certain social media account that you would prefer? Twitter, Instagram, Facebook?
I personally prefer Instagram just because there's a picture, you can do a video. Overall, if you're saying, hey, I'm tabling in the union, we're specifically in the union. I know Senator Mosley was saying, hey, I was in front of the syndicate. He's asked like, hey, what else can I do? Hey, show a video that you're near the syndicate in front of Fuzzies. Things like that to get more people to come. Overall, I've heard really good things. We have, getting feedback from people. I love that. I love that people are coming up to you and asking you questions. This is what tabling is about. So, any other questions? If not, please reach out to me, SJVP. I know a lot of y'all been coming by the office. I love talking to y'all. Lately, I've been really stressed out because of exams. So if I've not been on top of it this week, it's because of that. But I'm going to move on to the next item of the agenda. Approval of minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
I move to amend the minutes. Found some typos after I sent it out. I'm so sorry. The first one being under F 2021-R2 from my first amendment. Where it says Senator Muñoz-Sarabia moves to amend the document as presented to Senators and to remove that and. Shouldn't be there.
Is there a second?
There's my little thing.
Does anyone oppose? Yep, passed. Unanimous consent.
There's one more. I'm so sorry, guys. And the second one, for the Senate appointment, to where I move to a period of questioning go up. Yep, to remove where it says seconded by Senator J.D. Brown seconds, just to remove that seconds at the end.
Who seconded? Who seconded your period of question? Just to remove the last sentence. Ah, okay.
Yeah, it says seconded by
Sorry.
Senator J.D. Brown seconds.
Okay.
Senator Brown seconds.
Anyone opposed? All right, passed, unanimous consent. Okay, this has been distributed to you. Were there any, other than that, any other concerns with it? No changes? All right, passed with unanimous consent, both the minutes and voting records. Thank you. Next item on the agenda. Oh, okay. Yes, go ahead.
I move that we push up the Senate appointment for Ethan, since he has been sitting here now for 2 hours.
Senator Johnson seconds.
Does someone oppose? All righty, Ethan, come up front. All right, y'all. Before I give the floor to you, this is going to be our second appointment of the semester. Ethan is running for class. This is the first appointment that would happen in the Senate chamber since pre-COVID. So that's like, yay for us. Just reminders for you. Once you're done your spiel, if the Senate decides to go to a period of closed discussion, if you'd like to take all your stuff with you and exit the chamber and wait outside, the Speaker Pro Tempore Saloni is right there. She will inform you once the decision has, once the Senate has made a decision, to be like, hey, yay, or no, we like to come back. But yeah, so overall, this is Ethan. The floor is yours. You can take the mic and share to the Senate why you want to join SGA and become a senator for class.
Good afternoon. Firstly, I would like to thank you all very much for letting me come before you today. I know your time is very important and this opportunity is much appreciated. My name is Ethan Gillis and I come before you today with my objective being to become the next senator for the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. I'd like to take this chance to introduce myself and to help you understand why I believe I'm fit for this position. I'm a sophomore here at UNT, majoring in psychology with a minor in counseling. I'm an incredibly dedicated student leader here on campus, where I serve as a service coordinator for the homecoming crew, the philanthropy chair of Phi Kappa Sigma, as well as an ambassador of the Student Alumni Association. I also serve as a Take Flight ambassador, a mentor and resource for first-year students within the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. If it's not clear, I'm incredibly proud to be not just a student, but a student leader here on campus, and everything I do is done with pride for the institution that I attend. However, our institution is certainly not one without flaws. I feel that the University of North Texas is out of touch with its student body on a number of issues, and after sitting idly by for the first year of my tenure here at UNT, decided it was time to take action and to seek this position. Recently, I feel that everyone, peers, students, colleagues, have an issue with something or another about the way that this university is run. I myself am certainly included. I'm sick and tired of watching this university I love so dearly act in ways I can no longer condone. For instance, just a few weeks ago, an individual was shot and killed across the street from multiple residence halls with their body lying dead on the ground, mere feet from buildings full of students. The university was not only silent on this issue for hours, but they doubled down on it, attempting to justify their silence. Another issue that brings me before you today is the poor treatment of student employees, particularly the poor pay. Students work tirelessly for this university day in and day out and are paid nowhere near a living wage. I personally am sick and tired of watching people I love struggle to make ends meet whilst being employed by the very institution that they are indebted to. It's issues like these that bring me before you today, and I'm so passionate about these issues, not out of spite or anger or frustration towards the university, but out of love and out of a passion to improve it. I carry with me a strong sense of pride for this institution, and much like all of you, I care immensely about our school. If appointed, I will draft legislation demanding that the university tackle these issues while doing everything I can to ensure that solutions to these problems are not only identified, but implemented. Like I said, I'm here because I love this school, and I truly hope I have made that clear to each and every one of you. Thank you.
All right, the floor is open for any motion. Senator Johnson.
I move that we go to a period of questioning.
Is there a second? All right, you have the first question. Go ahead.
So Ethan, thank you for coming to come speak to us. That is, your passion is very refreshing. It is very, we have 45 seats. I think what, 17 of those are filled, right? Little under half. So it is very refreshing to see someone who has the passion. With that said, obviously you are a leader here on campus and you wear many hats of leadership, positions, skills, and all that. My one thing is SGA can be very time consuming, as you kind of saw today. Do you think you can make the commitment to do office hours, tabling, writing legislation, meeting with constituents, talking to deans, whatever it takes to get your passion behind the initiative you want to see UNT implement happen?
So that is a fantastic question. And I completely understand your concern, because coming in here and saying I do 17,000 different things, while refreshing in some ways, can be daunting because, like you said, a person with many hats, that's just another responsibility. So for me personally, I thrive off of this involvement. Like my freshman year was in the peak of the pandemic. It was incredibly difficult to get involved. And when I tried, I failed. And I had never felt less motivated. This semester, I have tried my best to become so involved, and from that have found increased motivation. Last fall, I didn't care about anything. I had no motivation whatsoever, and I'm sure many of you can relate to that. But being so involved, being so engaged within the community has given me like a revitalized sense of purpose. And that's what I'm seeking from here. And I think being so involved helps tremendously because I have a finger on the pulse of how students feel in this organization. Like I mentioned, I'm a Take Flight mentor within the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. It's part of that position to be meeting with freshmen, with first-year students, and really understand where they're at, what problems they're having. So it can definitely be daunting, and I understand that concern. But like I said, I find a sense of purpose with being here, with being involved. And I don't think for me that would be a concern.
Thank you.
Isabella, go ahead. Isabella?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
You said that you were actively involved in on campus. Can you elaborate on what you have done in campus?
Yeah,
I don't know if you
absolutely.
can hear.
So I'll start with the with Take Flight. My goal or my job there as an ambassador is to be like connecting with students, and so I have I've done my best to not just do that, but to go sort of above and beyond in the responsibilities there, because it is like a newer thing, it's a new position, and so like what I pride myself on doing there is making those like personal connections with students, with freshmen within the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. So that is definitely a more like individual contribution to the university that I've made. On like a larger scale, like I mentioned, I am on the homecoming crew, and my position there is the service coordinator, one of the two service coordinators. And with that, I'm working to organize campus-wide events during homecoming week to get students engaged in community service. If our trends from years past continue, then we're going to have hundreds, if not thousands, of people attending these events. This year, we're partnering with Rise Against Hunger, an organization tasked whose mission is to end hunger amongst homeless populations. We're also partnering with like the Denton Animal Shelter. So I think if anything exemplifies my service to the university and to the community, it's definitely that position, because I'm doing a lot there, not just for individual members of a college, but for the university as a whole. So yeah, I think that does a good job of answering the question. Thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Cowell?
Hi, you mentioned the university's response to violence in the passing of one of our fellow students. I'm wondering what an ideal reaction by UNT would look like to you in that kind of situation.
Absolutely. So, and correct me if I'm wrong on the understanding of the issue, but the main reason they did not immediately issue an Eagle Alert or something like that is because the event did not, occur on campus. I live in Mozart Square, which is right on the edge of campus, and if something, very troubling or frustrating or something bad on the scale of a loss of life occurred, mere feet from my dorm just because it was off campus, I don't think that warrants a complete lack of response. So really what I think the issue is with, what the university is deeming worthy of an Eagle Alert, and maybe it's not an Eagle Alert, maybe we need to reassess that. I just think the biggest thing is like, obviously that was a troubling thing. That was, and to imagine being someone who would, look out your window and see that on the ground, that's incredibly frustrating to be in a position where it's like, why did the university not do something about that? So I think the Eagle Alert system needs to be looked at, and we need to determine, okay, maybe we need to expand what the university is alerting students about, because I feel it was inappropriate to not put out a message in that specific situation.
Senator Lee?
Hi, Ethan. So as other senators have said, I really respect your passion. And also thank you for coming here. It takes a lot of bravery to stand in front of all of us. So my question is one that I actually asked Senator Guevara last week whenever we were going through the appointment process with her, and it also is similar to Senator Cowell's question. And that is, there's a lot of things in SGA that we really want to get done, we have passions out, but unfortunately either fall out of our jurisdiction, or even as we pass legislation, things just don't get done because it's in different departments. And so I think that especially is present with your interest in the incident that occurred on campus, is how would you react if you pass legislation or you have these things done and either it wasn't effective or it's not something that we are able to occur, that we're able to work on. So how would you work through things like that?
Sure. So in the event that the legislation, say, isn't effective, then it's okay, like, let's like really assess what this legislation was, like why it isn't being effective, maybe what about it is effective. And I think take what we can from it and start from the ground up and just completely rework whatever said legislation was that was put forward. I think if we were in a position where we say put forward legislation and it was out of our jurisdiction and the university was, not willing to comply with it, then I think we owe it to our constituents to fight that as much as we can. I understand at the end of the day, there are things that we can't control. There's things that we're not going to have any say over, but I don't think it's not worth fighting over. And so obviously, like you said, there's things that we're not going to control. And at the end of the day, if the university really does strike something down and they say that's just not going to work with us, fine. But we owe it to the people that we're supporting and to the other members of the Senate to, fight for things like that to pass.
So follow-up questions to say if, other departments like PD, housing, residence life were to tell you like, hey, you're out of line, would you fight that? Like, or would you accept?
Sure. I would not fight necessarily, but I would say, and of course, this process would hopefully, happen before putting forward this legislation, but I would want to maybe try to meet with members of, the residents association or anything like that and understand why they deem that behavior as out of line. Because at the end of the day, we have, we care about the same group, and that is the students on campus. And, representing students on campus like we do, it's been made very clear to me that people are frustrated with that specific instance. So if they are equally as committed to serving the student body as we are, then we need to find some common ground, some understanding of, this is what students want. Students would have appreciated this response in this situation. So I think it's totally a case-by-case situation, but I would definitely, I don't like the word fight, I don't want to say I'm going to be aggressive about it or anything like that, but I would definitely push really hard to have that conversation to find some common ground there. Because I think, like I said, we owe it to the students that we represent to do that.
Thank you.
Senator Cowell and then Senator Deliberations.
My question is a quick two-parter. First question, you said you are in a fraternity on campus. Which one?
So I am the philanthropy chair for Phi Kappa Sigma. It is a new fraternity that has recently returned to campus. It's still a colony, so it's in the process of being chartered. So it's not officially on campus yet, but we're in the process of making our return. Yeah.
Okay. Could you elaborate just a little more on your experience in that organization and what your role is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm fairly new to that role. Like I mentioned, it's a very new fraternity. It's like the exec board was only elected a few weeks ago. So I haven't had a lot of opportunities to really go through with what my position entails. But as the philanthropy chair, I'm going to be, raising events or raising awareness for and planning events that go to support our philanthropy chair partner, which is the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, LLS. They're like the world's largest organization for fighting blood cancer, and they're also Phi Kappa Sigma's philanthropy partner. So once our organization becomes more official, that would be my duty, is putting together events like that. And I think more on a broader scale, my duty as a member of the exec board is also in part as a founding father of the fraternity, because it is new to campus. And so a reason I was drawn to that position, particularly because it's a newer organization, is because frankly, a lot of fraternities, the way they run themselves is, to me, very frustrating and downright disgusting at some points. I think especially if these are organizations that pride themselves on being, groups of honor or service, they don't really represent themselves in that way. Not that any of our Greek life organizations are necessarily like that, but that was another reason I was drawn to it, is because as a leader within that organization, I would be able to sort of set a positive tone for that group. So while not specifically the job of a philanthropy chair or an exec board member, helping to set that positive tone and have a positive impact on campus is certainly always at the forefront of my mind.
Senator Deliberations.
Hand raised.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I guess, what would be your plan of action to help your constituents and communicate with the people that you want to represent in class and not just class the student body? What would be your plan of action?
So great question. My first step that I've already kind of been thinking about, okay, if I'm appointed, what do I do from there? Is I want to start by reaching out to the people who have signed the petition to help get me here, because I already have their contact information and I know I have their support. So I feel that first things first, I owe it to them to be like, you helped me get here, like, how can I help you? And I think from there, it's just sort of raising awareness of like, I'm here, I'm a senator, and now that I've been appointed, I am always reachable, and stressing that. I think my leadership positions, both on campus and within class, help me reach those people really easily. You know, I'm in major specific classes where I'm around lots of those people, and in our group chats, I've already made it clear that I'm running for this position, and if appointed, you know, I'm here, I'm a person that they can contact and they can you know, express their concerns to. So yeah, just sort of starting with that initial base of supporters and moving from there, going on, spreading the word that I'm now a senator who, you know, is here to represent them, and just sort of going from there, just always making sure I'm approachable and reachable.
Any other questions? Senator Velasco?
I move to a period of closed discussion.
Senator Johnson, second.
Now that we're in a period of closed discussion, Ethan, if you mind taking all your belongings and stepping outside, you can hang out in the little, in front of the syndicate, we can come grab you or something. And then we'll wait until Ethan is left the Senate chamber to start the period of closed discussion. But Senator Banerjee will come get you once we have deliberated and made a decision. Alrighty, it's been moved and seconded that we're in a period of closed discussion. So Senator Johnson, you have the first discussion point.
Guys,
Oh, sorry, it was, I forgot, oh my God, it was you, Maria?
Yes,
Go ahead, go ahead.
Don't know about y'all, but okay. The time commitment is a little concerning. It sounds like they're in a lot. And majority, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, David, the majority of our resignations have been due to the time commitment. So yeah, I don't know, you know, the meetings that you guys have had, if that time commitment has been clear. If you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, so usually when I have meetings, and I know Abigial can attest to this, is overall, I make it very clear about what they're getting into. I make sure I lay out, for the most part, some of the commitments that they're gonna get into. I usually try to stress, like, hey, this can be about a minimum of 5 hours out of your week dedicated to SGA, whether it's office hours, tabling, Senate meetings, any other thing regarding responsibility as senator, be an advocate for your constituency. I try to make that very clear. All of them are kind of like, yes, I understand. But at the same time, I can't dictate what happens afterwards. My job is to support the Senate in any way the best I can, to be the best resource or point of contact. So that's my job, so to support anyone that becomes a senator. Senator Johnson, go ahead.
I just want to point out that I know of Ethan. I'm in a couple organizations with him, but we're, you know, it's like one of those people that you know the organization. It's not like one that I know Alejandro. Like Ethan is a hard, passionate worker that cannot be understood. We saw his passion when he was given his appointment interview, whatever that discussion was called. I like this guy, and he is a class senator, and as a fellow class senator, we are very, 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 very low in numbers. And again, I'd also like to remind you that we have 45 seats, and only little under half of those are taken. So I think if we're going to turn people away just because they've obviously made and researched the time commitment, again, Ethan was sitting there for over 2 hours about that time. So he knows what it's gonna be like. He could have left at any point.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, that's to speak to his character. I don't mean to like do it like attacking, make eye contact.
In no way was I like, no, he has too much on his plate. I just wanted to like clarify, like, it was the time commitment was made aware.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
I didn't mean to like be like Maria,
I
you know, kind
understand,
of thing.
Okay, okay,
Sorry.
and move on to the next discussion point. Isabella?
I will say my only concern of this whole thing is when he brought up what happened with Eagle Alert. The way he described it wasn't how the events went down based on what actually happened. I think if we are gonna have a senator, it's not just to fill the seat, it's someone that's gonna research and make sure that what we're looking forward in terms of our student body, what's going on in our student body is gonna properly research, to properly represent not just class, but the student body as a whole. That was my only concern. And as someone that like was also thought about that and had to research myself what actually happened, that really brought a red flag to me.
All right, Senator Abigial, go ahead.
He mentioned that he was part of Phi Kappa Sigma, correct? And he said that they recently were chartered back into the university, and I was a little bit confused as to why he didn't say like why they left in the first place. And I remember just from like the top of my head in the past that they were sort of like disavowed or they were forced to break up due to sexual assault allegations. Now I'm not saying that like that's what he is like advocating, but it's sort of like, well, why did he mention why they left?
Senator Brown?
One thing that concerns me is when he was making his initial speech, it sounded very much like he plans to write legislation with the intent to that, hey, the school needs to do this, as opposed to working with the school before even starting his legislation writing process.
Got it. Senator Lee?
Just to echo my other senators, I think some of his ideas are kind of just out of our scope, and also it's probably just a personal thing, but I did not appreciate the way he worded that there was not a trigger warning. He just kind of went right into discussing the incident. It personally took me off guard, and I know it's something a lot of us have heard about, and I also think just again personally, it's not something that we have jurisdiction over, or something that we should again like accept. I mean, we're not going to slap the other administration on the wrist. You know, I don't think that's our purpose. So I agree with that.
I'm gonna go to Senator Cowell, Mosley, Kwee-Bintoro, and then McDowall. Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate what Senator Grant brought up about him being very passionate and a hard worker. I definitely see that. I did have a few personal red flags. I know I'm obviously an individual, and not everything I say is going to represent my constituency or the university perfectly. But I will say him being a fraternity was kind of a red flag for me, not just time commitment, but also the reputation of the organization. And, you know, if you are in an organization, even if you want to change it, you know, based on its past actions, I still think there's a question of motivation, you know. And I understand UNT is obviously a very diverse university. Not everybody here is, you know, super leftist and liberal, but I do have a personal prejudice against white men. I do, like, I'm just gonna be honest. It takes more for a white man to convince me to put them in a place of power than a person of color, just because, you know, they wouldn't experience the kind of discrimination that some other people would. So those are just my thoughts. Sorry to the white men in the room.
Senator Mosley.
He's great. However, in his statement, it was, I don't, correct me if I am wrong, but I heard a lot of I statements. I am going to do this, I'm going to do that, I am going to, or feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, that's just what I got from it, but it felt like it wasn't any collaboration or any, the senators and I, or the class senators and I, my peers and I, or the school and I, it was just my. So that really caused me to like drift away kind of. When he first started walking, first started coming up, he was like, yeah, you know, he's good. But the moment he started drifting away, the moment he started saying I, that's when I was like, oh.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong.
Senator Kwee-Bintoro?
It's been brought up before that, the senator, or the prospective senator, the applicant, has this attitude towards the administration that he wants to like hit them hard, hit them quick. And I don't think that's a negative thing, honestly. We all came into this role because we wanted to make change. We all came into this role because we had passion for what we wanted to do. And to be honest, the administration was the most visible and most effective target. I believe that if he is inducted into the Senate, we can help. His attitude is going to change out of necessity. He's going to realize, look, you have to work. Look, you have to work with your constituents because that's just a reality. And I don't think that we should fault him for putting his passion and putting his ideals in a way that I guess doesn't necessarily reflect what we like to see right off the bat.
So before we move on to any discussion points, let's make sure that most of the discussion points about what he presented, you know, something against them personally, because we don't want a lawsuit at hand. And I'm being serious. This is the type of walking that territory. So just like to make sure that we're keeping on what he can bring us onto the table and not on stuff. So Senator McDowall.
Point of order, just real quick, Mr. Speaker, that we do have a non-senator who does want to speak.
What, I recognized, yeah, I got it. Senator McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm gonna be honest, I don't have a strong opinion on him either way. I would like to just say that we definitely are here to advocate the way he. I'm trying to word this the way I actually mean it. So we are here to at times be in conflict with the administration. By nature of the student government and by nature of the Senate, we will be in conflict because student interests and administration interests do not always align. And I don't think we should fault anyone for that or any other reasons like that.
Would someone like to recognize Christian in the back? Senator Johnson.
Senator Johnson recognizes Christian.
Senator Kwee-Bintoro seconds.
All right, Christian, you have the floor.
Thank you all. So yeah, I'm Christian, UNT student. So I kind of have experience in SGA, so I just wanted to say, just to like for the Senate, I realize that a lot of y'all are new to SGA, and this is your first time, first year in SGA and all that. And so I just wanted to remind you all that just because you know he doesn't have much experience in that doesn't negate him from joining the Senate and also judging him so partially, in my opinion, based on his involvement in organizations that you know had some trouble in the past, but now revitalizing. But him himself, he is a second-year student, so he probably had nothing to do with that organization in the past. And also, so I just wanted to reiterate that and just to judge him on himself and not the actions of other people. So, and other organizations. So, yep.
Palmer, go ahead.
I do have to go, but I want to make this last point. Speaking objectively, not of his personality, but saying what he's going to do,
He is a part of a lot of different organizations, of very varied organizations. And he said that he is willing to make himself very accessible to people, and he will talk to people. So think about how many different organizations he's in and how many different people and different perspectives and different problems that he can listen to and bring to the table to the Senate. And he is willing to write, it seems like he was willing to write legislation as well for change. So he can definitely stand up for different groups of people and hear different problems all throughout campus. That's all I had to say.
All right, thank you, Senator Banerjee.
Okay, so my point was, I feel like a lot of the points being brought up right now could have been framed as questions towards him. So my question is, are we allowed to go back into a period of questioning? My suggestion would be that you frame these kind of questions in as tactful of a way as possible without making him feel attacked, and ask him what you're genuinely having queries about, like, for example, time commitment, for example, the reputation of whatever organization, fraternity, I totally get that. I think that we should engage in this dialogue with the applicant rather than just amongst ourselves, because we're kind of going to be an echo chamber almost. That's just my suggestion.
So, just letting the Senate, we only have this room until 8:30. So overall, we have still items on the agenda. It seems like we have, a couple of y'all have made a decision already. I recommend that we make a decision, we take a vote, and Ethan already presented his case. You can make the decision based on what he presented. That's all my suggestions I'm going to say to the Senate. But of course, that's just a suggestion. So, Senator Tovar.
Information. If I motion to move to a period, would I say move to a period of voting? Sorry, I have to clarify. So I move to a period of voting.
All right, is there a second?
Sarah Kwee-Bintoro, second.
All righty. I might do based on a ballot. So I'm gonna do Microsoft Forms just because, unless you want to do roll call.
I object to the motion made.
Okay, so how do you want to vote?
I don't want to.
We're object. Okay, we can. Okay, we can do it by raise of hands. So we're objecting a period of voting. All those that do want to vote on this appointment, raise your hand. Aye. So that means you want to vote on this person now. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so, and who does not want to vote? All right, so it seems like the nays have it. So we're not going to a period of voting. The floor is open to any motion. Senator Johnson.
I move that we go to a period of closed session.
We're still on.
Okay, we're still on that. Okay, then I'd like to, then if I want to ask another discussion point, can I make that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is, I think Mosley, you asked this question, and I did also feel this as well, that it was I, and that, again, there was no really basis to go off that, but I'd like to put this in some senators' minds. When we campaigned for those who ran an election, were you saying, we will do this, or I will accomplish this? I want to see this change. So I think it's just a matter of perspective of how passionate someone is, and then when we come back saying, I'm going to work with coalition students.
Okay, I'm gonna Isabella, and then Senator Rosa. Go ahead, Senator Tovar.
I asked him, I'm basing my opinion on what I asked. I asked him what was his plan of action, his course of action, to be more specific. He reiterated the same thing he started to speak. I don't see any actual effectiveness in the sense of how he actually wants to interact. He was in the Senate meeting the entire time for him to give himself an idea of how to interact with his constituents. I also feel like, to an extent, because you know him, you have already have kind of like, I feel like it's a bias based on you knowing him to an extent. You guys might not be friends, but you know of him.
Point of order, may I answer that since it was during the
No.
first name?
Senator Mosley.
I motion to move.
I move to.
I'm sorry.
Mhm. Go
I
ahead, no,
move
you go.
to move this agenda to the next Senate meeting due to time constraints.
So you're saying you want to postpone this point to next week?
Yes, due to time constraints, because
I mean,
we
we
do
still
have
have-
to 8:30,
Yeah.
and we have multiple agendas on our list.
I object.
Okay. There's no second. So there's, the floor is up. Here's my suggestion, y'all. Seems like y'all have an opinion already about this candidate. I recommend that we go to a vote and end this discussion because it's going in circles. So someone can make that motion, because overall, we're still gonna go in circles and we're still gonna reiterate the same points. I think voting will make a decision. So Senator Kwee-Bintoro.
I move roll call vote on the nominee.
Senator Mosley second.
All right. Someone object to roll call vote? All righty.
I object.
Okay.
Just say you object. Okay, I object.
To the roll call vote or to the vote in general?
To the vote in general.
Okay. We can vote on this. So all those that want to vote on the appointment now, please raise your hand. Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All those opposed, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a tie. Because it's a tie.
It's a 2/3 vote.
A 2/3 for any, so the motion fails then. All right, so the floor is open for any motions. Senator Kwee-Bintoro.
Parliamentary inquiry, are still in the period of discussion?
Close discussion, that is correct.
Would it be in order for me to ask, or I guess like speak?
Yeah, this is a clear to close discussion. You can make any discussion points.
I guess the question is right now, with regards to the nominee and with regards to the proceedings, is there anyone here who is truly undecided? Because we can talk and talk and talk and talk, but I'm biased. I have my thinking. I'm certain that almost everybody here is biased, judging from the nature of their questions. I don't think it's inherently wrong to be biased. We have to make opinions. That's our role as a Senate. But I feel like if we try to convince others that they're wrong and we're right, we're not going to get anywhere. And so I feel like we just have to close this, vote on it, what happens happens. And the vote's the vote. Thank you.
Senator Mosley,
Senator Mosley moves to period voting.
is there a second? Is you in the second? No second?
Senator Guevara seconds.
Okay, going to period voting on the, does someone object? No, all right, so let's do,
Wait.
what- I recommend roll call vote. Senator, or, okay, Senator Velasco, can you? Yes.
If you wanted to abstain from voting, would you just say I abstain?
Yes, so so guys, if you are in favor of this candidate, you can say aye. If you do not want this person to be in the Senate, say nay. If you abstain, you can abstain, so that means I recommend you not from abstaining, but of course, that's a right you can do. So we're gonna start roll call.
Point of order.
Yes.
Does a abstain count as a no vote? So even if you
Yes.
abstain, it's no. You vote no.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, yes. Go ahead.
I suggest that any senators who feel unduly biased in any way towards this candidate abstain from the vote. That's what abstention is for, is if you feel you cannot make a deliberative decision. And so if you feel like you can't make a decision based on things that the assembly is allowed to make decisions on, then you should not participate in the vote and abstain.
But again, you can vote however you want to vote. All right, Senator Velasco, let's start roll call.
Senator Shiloh. Sorry, I'm still thinking. Can I pass myself and come back?
No.
No.
Yes, I know, abstain.
I abstain.
Senator, oh, good, sorry.
Senator Brown.
Aye.
Senator McDowall.
Aye.
Senator Lee.
Abstain.
Senator Banerjee.
Aye.
Senator Castellanos.
Aye.
Senator Guevara.
I abstain.
Senator Johnson.
Aye.
Senator Mosley.
No.
Senator Sanchez Martinez.
No present.
Senator Gillis.
No.
Senator M. Senator Cowell.
Aye.
Senator Schulte.
I abstain.
And Senator Kwee-Bintoro.
Aye.
So my thing is,
And how many senators?
what's the threshold? How many votes in the affirmative do we need to have?
2/3.
So, I got it.
Ethan Gillis's appointment did not pass.
Do not meet the threshold. The appointment fails. Can you inform the appointee and we can continue on with the next business? All right, y'all, before we move on to a couple items. We're gonna have appointments come through. We have some more coming up. Biggest thing that I want you to take away is overall, make sure that we're asking questions during the period of questioning that you think will be appropriate based on what they're giving to you, their little spiel. Let's make sure during the period of discussion, it's about what they said and it's not attacking their character. It's super important because overall, this person, if they pass or not, they're still constituents or they might be a colleague. Just keep that in mind as well. Overall, we're gonna have more come through. But at the end of the day, y'all will make the decision if you feel like this person will be qualified enough to be a senator that will at best advocate for, in this case, class. So I'm gonna move on to the next item of the agenda. So announcements of chairs and vice chairs, because I have not gotten much emails or anything. I want to take this time for the Senate to know who that is. At this time, if you're the chair and vice chair of the Campus Life and Environment Committee, can you please stand and use a mic and say, hey, I'm the chair, I'm the vice chair, or if only one of y'all are present, can you announce them both for me?
So I am the Campus Life and Environment Committee chairperson. The vice chair, I don't know what the status is on Senator McAdams, but she was the vice chair.
I believe, testing. I believe she's still in the committee, so I believe she's still the vice chair.
And she's vice chair.
Okay. Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Do we have a chair, vice chair at all? No? Okay. The Senate Internal Committee, do we have, no, we do?
I have received no emails about diversity.
So overall, I'm gonna have the list. That is completely on y'all to make that happen.
Okay.
Me, I am not involved in Senate standing committees. your point person is Senator Banerjee to assist the chair. But overall, y'all collectively as members of the committee, y'all will have to determine when y'all gonna meet. Y'all will determine during the first meeting who is the chair and vice chair. So if you have not met, I recommend doing that as soon as possible so y'all can start. We'll first select your chair and vice chair and discuss anything. Senator Escobar.
Is it possible for us to get the list?
Yes, we're gonna go over that today. The internal Senate committee, do we have chairs or vice chairs?
Myself, Andy McDowell, is the chair of the internal Senate committee, and the committee is currently without a vice chair. We'll be electing them during the next meeting.
Awesome, thank you. The legislative affairs committee, I think, go ahead, Ted.
I'm the chairperson of the Legislative Affairs Committee.
Hi, Beige Cowell is the vice chair.
Awesome, thank you. All right, I'm gonna go over a couple things in this really, really fast, just for time's sake. Committee minutes. So in the bylaws, it says that if y'all meet as a committee, y'all need to have minutes. And once you have minutes, they need to be approved within the next time you meet, approved within 5 business days and sent to Maria and CC me. Make sure they're typed. Make sure that we're following Robert's Rules of Order, because that's in the bylaws as well. And that attendance is on the minutes. These minutes will be publicized on the website. So that's something that we're doing new this year. So make sure that we're doing that as well. Committee reports, we'll start that next week. Overall, if your committee has not met, you don't have to worry about it. But they're gonna be bi-weekly for right now, or at point of need, whatever the committee wants to share information. Chairs, please send reports to the speaker person 4 and CC me. The deadline is Sunday. We're presenting this next week during the Senate meeting. Please have them typed out just to save time. And then I will showcase it on the PowerPoint. The Senate can ask any questions and we can move on just for time efficiencies. Or if you have any questions, Senator Johnson.
So within the 5 business days for the minutes, is it just need to, if it, the bi-weekly, if there's, because I know my committee is meeting once a month or twice a month. And so if that bi-weekly, because that's just how our time schedules work, unfortunately, does it have to still be every 5 business days, just nothing new, nothing new, nothing new?
So it's upon approval. So once you vote on the minutes during the next time you meet, we need that record of it. Biggest thing is we want to increase transparency in the Senate. And we want to make sure that overall we have a good understanding of what the committee is up to. Overall, guys, just remember our first meeting, committees are supposed to help overall Senate achieve a lot of things. And the biggest thing is to help dissect different issues on campus and overall making sure that we're best advocating for our constituency. That's the whole point of the committees, is to help reach that goal. Overall, it's a big scope, and that's why we have committees to break it down even more, and that's what we have kind of objectives for those. But overall, if you have any questions, y'all can talk to me. So appointments. So as you know, we had a couple senators resign. Has not been easy. Now we lost Senator Hester last night. This is the wrong thing, sorry. But we need to update our sheet. And also Abigail, if you have a committee in mind, we'll appoint you on there as well. I'm gonna provide suggestions since, just to save time. Okay. I'm gonna strike out and highlight the following, just because I know they're not with us anymore, and then y'all can approve it just to make this easier on y'all. That looks fine. I was not sure. Give me 1 second. Sorry. She didn't. Okay. I don't know. Okay. Okay. So I believe this should be accurate. Can someone Is there, anyone opposed to this? Those changes, because I'm striking that means they're being removed from those seats. No one opposed? All right, it's passed. I can make the change. Senator Abigial, is there a committee that you would like to nominate yourself to be part of? And just for you to, you're required to be at least one. If you want to be part of multiple, that is totally up to you. But I just want to make sure you're at least part of one. Was there one that you were interested in?
Not one in particular, but it looks like the internal Senate committee needs, so.
Okay.
Taking one for the team.
Thank you. Did I spell your last name correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone opposed to this adding Senator Guevara to the internal Senate committee? Nope. It passes. Awesome sauce. Yay. Senator Roscoe?
Due to the lack of time, I move college reports to the next meeting's agenda. Senator Shoutouts, Sophie.
All righty. Does anyone oppose?
Senator Brown.
Okay. All those that want to postpone it, I mean, we still have 8 minutes. Whoever, raise your hand if you want to move college reports to next week. Raise your hand. Great. Okay, all those opposed, nays? I think the motion fails. So it is postponed to next week, so we can do that.
You said the motion fails. Do you mean that the motion passes?
He wanted to post. Oh my God.
The motion at hand was to postpone college reports.
Yeah. So he objected, so it is postponed, so the motion passes, I believe.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, what was the positive vote because it requires a supermajority?
Supermajority, I think, I mean, we can revote. I mean,
if you don't know the
or
number,
you can
then-
do division.
There were 4 nays and 1 abstain.
You can call division.
Yeah, can we do a division? Can we actually?
Division. All right, so it's division. So overall, we have to get more of an accurate count. So again, raise your hand if you want to postpone college report. Raise your hand. So we have to have an actual number. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many nays? So that means we do not want to postpone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 against 10. Okay, so
Just want to make sure.
it is postponed. That's the first time we did division. Ooh, I love it. Basically, what division means is if you want more of an accurate number, if you feel like whatever I made a wrong ruling, only when it applies to voice votes or raise of hands, we can ask for an accurate number. You just say division and we can move on. Okay, so 6 minutes. I'll make this fast. So college reports, we'll do that next week. Something that I want to start doing for our Senate meetings is shoutouts. And this is what I'm stealing from UPC. So shoutouts. So what they are. We'll make this quick. Overall, I think that I feel like we don't tell each other you're doing a good job enough. I think that hearing from someone else like, hey, you're doing an amazing job means a lot. And this is why we're choosing shoutouts. Overall, I think when you hear from someone else that they're saying that you're killing it, it makes you feel good. So I'm going to start first. I'm going to make this quickly. So I want to shout out Senator Mosley because overall he mentioned that he got really excited when he was talking about tabling, and it really made my day because overall there's moments when I have up and downs and stuff, But overall, seeing this passion and seeing like, oh my God, people talk to me finally meant a lot, because overall I've been hearing not the best things, but overall that made my day, because overall people care. People care, and that they were coming up to him and got really excited about it. That's what I love. I love seeing that other people are getting excited about what they're doing. So I just want to shout you out. That really meant a lot. And stuff. So I'm glad that out for you. But I'm gonna pass it around. Just make them quick because we have 4 minutes. So, y'all can just yeah, shut them out.
Okay, my shout out is to Casey and Maya. As I'm not even done. As we apparently found out today, Exec isn't even a rugby here. We haven't done it, and they are still here 3 hours later. Plus, just because, I mean, yes, I do know them personally, but they work, maybe I can't say that on record. They work really hard, effortlessly, and we always see them, and we always know them, and their presence is always known. And I love that, so.
And I will, oh, I'm sorry.
You go ahead. No, anyone can talk.
Shout out Maria. She is literally the lady, the girl, the woman. You are amazing. I'll shout you out and say thank you for all your hard work and everything.
I want to shout out Matthew, even though he's not here, because he's doing an amazing job in providing videos to us, and videos one-on-one, and trying to help us figure out things and help us connect more with our constituents, which I appreciate a lot. So, thank God.
Hope you hear that, Matthew. That's all you know.
Very quickly, I wanted to shout out Senator Kwee-Bintoro, because I feel like he brings up very good points in discussion that other people don't always think of, or maybe feel safe enough to share at that time. And I think he always brings a different perspective, and I really appreciate it.
Not to steal Stallone's thunder, but whoever that intern was way back there who brought up wonderful questions as well throughout the entire meeting, blown away by the type of questions. So a little personal shout out if she can hear this. So shout out to her.
Let's put out all the interns. All interns are amazing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin and Emma.
For staying here. So wait, Emma, for staying in the other interns. I hope we get to meet all of your names. And also shout out to Abigial for sticking with us.
All right, just for timing's sake, if you have any announcements, I am going to cut them off for today. I do recommend you posting on the teams. I'm glad that everyone enjoyed this, but I adjourned this meeting at 8:29 p.m.
All right, meeting's been adjourned, so I can now, but we are looking for volunteers.
No, you're not.
We're looking for volunteers.